debut 2016, and I wouldn't even say really got over. People were just interested to see what he was going to do. You had to bring back Stone Cold to try to get this guy over. Still didn't work. Still didn't work. Kevin Owens is just not, this business is not meant for him. And the whole thing they're talking about the entire time is CM Punk is saying, oh, well, you know, I paved the way for guys like you. What, fat, tubby fucks who do flips in the ring? Thank you, CM Punk. I appreciate you for ruining wrestling. Like, I appreciate you for paving the way for fat fucks who do flips and dips and dives to get into the ring. To be shoved down to the proverbial throat of the people. I appreciate that very much, CM Punk. And KO was like, yeah, you know, I got to give you credit for that, but I want my title shot. Whole time you got security and referees and Nick Aldis sliding his stupid ass out there, sliding his stupid ass up on the ring. Why didn't you slide your stupid ass up on the ring when cornball Cody Rhodes came out here and he was boring us to death? Why didn't you do that, Nick Aldis? Nick Aldis is like, oh, is everything good here? Is everything good? Like a fucking, yeah. The Nick Aldis is like me when I'm breaking up my kids from fighting. Like, is everything good in here? Peek my head in the window. Hey. It's just fucking stupid, bro. Nick Aldis is on the ring apron doing absolutely nothing, and CM Punk, he's saying, I'm a professional, I can do it. I'm a professional, I can handle this. Like, bro, turn this shit off, okay? That was the first whole little shit, okay? Nothing happens. KO gets out the ring. He walks away. That's fucking it, man. That's it. That's all that happened, bruh. And then we move on, right? We move on because we get a little interview segment from Charlotte Flair and what's her name? Kathy Kelly, I think. You know, she's back there. She asks her, well, what do you want to do? What's going on in this match tonight between you and Jade? And she's just like, well, I'm gonna beat her ass. And then that's that, okay? Nothing of note was said in this fucking interview. Then Trick Williams comes. You know, he has his little backstage, not interview, but a little segment that he talks to them, you know, cuts a little promo, okay? And he says he's gonna beat Baron Corbin's ass because Baron Corbin, you know, he used his title to beat Trick Williams, and he can't beat Trick Williams man-to-man, mano-a-mano. Next up, we get the match between Baron Corbin and Trick Williams, where Trick Williams loses. Like, he loses. He just loses, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, he got hit with the title, but he had ample opportunities to win this match. Ample opportunities to win this match, and he just did not. And then he gets hit in the head with the fucking with the title, Lil Yachty gone, and I don't know where Lil Yachty is. Lil Yachty gone, and then Baron Corbin is just holding up the championship, and that's that. That's that. Nobody cares. Baron Corbin's not getting over. Like, he came back to get into the mid card picture. Like, yay, cool. Why is he here? Why? This still hasn't really been explained. Why is he here? What is his goal? What is he trying to accomplish? And why? How is him obtaining the United States Championship getting him close to accomplishing his goal? Explain that shit, Triple H. That's what you got. He did the job. He did the cool moves and the shit in the ring. All right, he did what you asked him to do. Now, give him a fucking storyline. Sami Zayn comes up backstage. He's talking to Nick Aldis. Okay. Little boying Nick Aldis. That's who it was. It was Sami Zayn saying, I respect what you did out there. Sami Zayn talking shit about KO. Then KO pops up. I don't care about this, man. How many times do we have to see this shit? The same shit. This same shit. Well, they said nothing new. They said nothing new. How many times have they turned on each other and been friends and then turned on each other and then been friends again? Since Kevin Owens was Kevin Steen and this nigga was El Generico. It's over. Nobody cares about this anymore. Kathy Kelly catches up Baron Corbin in the backstage. She's like, why'd you do it, man? Why'd you do it? Why'd you cheat in the match, man? Baron Corbin's like, because I'm a heel. And then here comes Carmelo Hayes out of nowhere, dressed in all black. And he's like, well, I want a match. I talked to Nick Aldis. He said next week. Really? Like, is this the storyline? Is this the storyline? Yeah, Baron Corbin got attacked by Carmelo Hayes backstage for absolutely no reason. I mean, I won't say absolutely no reason. He did get involved in their shit. But that's it. Baron Corbin attacks Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. So Carmelo Hayes attacks Baron Corbin, and now he wants a match. That's the storyline. All right, go ahead, get that over, guys. Get that over. Let the people will definitely sink their teeth into that. Chelsea Green, she has her little celebration afterwards, and she has a celebration every single time she wins a championship. At some point, it gets played out. You know what I mean? At some point, every single time she wins any kind of gold, she's out there with the balloons and the pageantry and all this, that, and the other. It gets to a point. It gets to a point. And she has a little shirt that says, like, the word interim, but it's crossed out, and above it, it's written in, like, permanent. WWE Women's Champion. This is a stupid, dumbass, goofy-ass, retarded-ass shirt for many, many reasons, okay? But this is the shirt that Chelsea Green is wearing, okay? So now it leads me to ask the question, because if you've had your ear to the streets, the wrestling streets, Rhea Ripley, she's gonna be out for a while. Probably like 6-7 months. She's gonna be out for a while. Okay, she got to get surgery and some more stuff. So is Chelsea Green the official women's champion? We don't know. It wasn't, actually explained if she was, but doesn't matter because she calls out Tiffy. She's like, oh, what happened at the ladder match? That was just the match. It was, everybody out for themselves. I hope that doesn't, mess with our friendship. Oh my goodness, man. Then here comes Fatal Attraction. She wants a title match. The JC Jane, Jody Jane, I don't know her name, man. She wants a title match. So there's a tag match that happens next. I don't care about this. Chelsea Green gets pinned. Okay, so this is what you do, Triple H. You put the belt on somebody and then you immediately get them pinned. Like they immediately eat a pin. How many times has a champion eaten a pin? For absolutely no reason. Like, it made no fucking sense why she had to eat this pin. And she ate a pin from, like, Fallon Henley or some shit like that. Whoever the fuck one of them is. Like, she ate a pin from one of the jobbers. So it's like, what are we doing here with the Women's World Heavyweight Championship? Or with the Women's WWE Championship? Then after the match, Nia Jackson, Lash Legend, and they come out, beat the shit out of Chelsea Green, and dance around with her championship. I'm like, bruh. So this is what we're doing. We're doing Nia Jax versus Chelsea Green or Fatal Influence. Like, this is what I'm like. When Jade Cargill was champion, she was getting none of this. She was getting absolutely none of this. But Chelsea Green and Rhea Ripley, they get the whole fucking locker room thrown at them. It's just stupid, man. It's just insane. Then afterwards, we get Damian Priest. He's backstage talking to Kathy Kelly. The War Raiders come up talking about we've been trying to hunt you down. You think you're mad that the MFTs did this, all right? And then, we're going to be double champs because they're fucking AAA tag team champs. All right, like, cool. Why don't y'all go down there to AAA where, nobody cares about you over there too? Like, just leave. Just fucking go. You know what I mean? Like, these guys have bored me to death for the last, 6-7 years. I'm done with the War Experience, the War Raiders. I'm done with them, okay? But that's what they're talking about. Then after that, R-Truth, he comes up, and he has no dits about him. It's like he's serious R-Truth right now. It's like he's just straight up Ron Killings at this moment. And he's like, yeah, you think somebody's scared of you? We ain't scared of you. We ain't scared of the MFTs. I talked to Nick Aldis, and we're going to get in a match with you and the MFTs for the tag titles next week. And I'm like, why? Why? Why would you put yourself in that position? And this time, Damian Priest, it's like he wasn't even mad at him. He was just mad that, he wasn't like the AAA tag team championships weren't also going to be on the line. That's what he was mad about. But he was not mad that he's now in a triple threat tag team match where he has a 66% chance of losing. Really? Yeah. About 66% chance of losing. So I don't understand where the logic is there. But once again, this is WWE show. There is no fucking logic. After that, we got like a little like Brock Lesnar like package. You know, oh, he retired, this, that, and the other. Nobody cares. Okay, he's already retired. He retired 3 months ago, 4 months ago, however long it's been, and now he retires again. Nobody cares this time. I promise you, nobody gives a fuck. Here comes Randy Orton. Randy Orton gets ready to say something. I should be excited to see Randy Orton. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a few months since I've seen Randy Orton. But he's getting right back into a feud with Cody Rhodes. Now it's going to be for nothing, okay? At least he had an opportunity to win the 15th, right? You know, or to get his 15th World Championship. He could have done that at this last WrestleMania. But no, that didn't happen. And now he's back and he's fighting Cody Rhodes for what? For what, bruh? For what? I like, and then the gaslighting after, like, as I was watching the little, I got on Twitter or X or whatever after the show, and I'm watching like the highlights and the shit like that as well. You know, seeing how they gaslight motherfuckers talking about, the feud is heating up. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, they took it to the next level. And I'm like, the next level? Bruh, I was just watching highlights of fucking Stone Cold fucking riding a four-wheeler onto Vince McMahon's limo and talking, calling him a son of a bitch and all this stuff. And I was just watching that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was just watching. And you're talking about next level, and that was one of the more tame things that they did. I watched fucking Stone Cold beat Vince McMahon over the head with a bedpan while Vince McMahon was in the hospital. Like, and we're talking, this is next level. All they did was talk. They didn't even need a pull apart. All they did was talk, but they brought it to the next level. They said nothing new. It's the same shit that they were saying the last time. Randy Orton, oh, you gave me permission. You gave me permission to do what I did. You gave me permission. Who gives a fuck? That's so 110 days ago. That's so 110 plus days ago, bruh. That's so 3 months ago. Nobody cares about this shit no more, man. Then we get Sami Zayn. He's backstage talking to Gargano and fucking Candice LeRae. I don't even know what to say about this. We move on. Fucking Jay Cargill backstage with baddies. All right, I take them all down. Take them all down. Yeah, I take them all down. I tell you what, every last one of them. Line them up. Line them up. Nah, but I mean, like, it's the same shit. You know, they're getting interviewed. They're just saying, Jay Cargill was just saying, all right, I'm gonna beat fucking Charlotte Flair's ass tonight, and that's it, right? Nothing of consequence was said during this. All I could think is, line them up, and I'll knock them down. Yeah, that's all I could think. So after this, Nikki Bella or Brie Bella, whichever one of them, I don't give a shit, to be honest. I think it was Brie. She had a whole little thing, how she has beef with Paige now because, she was mad at Paige. Now, I suggested this feud happen, a couple of months ago, like after WrestleMania, like when Paige made her re-debut or whatever. I suggested that this be the feud that they do, but not just out of nowhere. I suggested that this be a thing that, is actually given some screen time, actually given a little bit of care, right? We get to see how Paige and Nikki, they're getting closer while Brie, she's getting further away while she's, healing up and doing all this. And we could actually have an interesting storyline come from this because, maybe Brie can just snap and go off on Paige. And now this is a whole thing. And now Nikki is conflicted and because Paige is her friend, but Brie's her twin. This could have been a whole thing that they could have done, and it actually could have been somewhat entertaining, just somewhat. That's all I asked. Shit to be somewhat entertaining, right? But no, the shit just comes out of nowhere. They lose the title, and now Brie's mad, just out of nowhere. Like, how about be thankful that she, got your sister another title reign while you were out? That'd be nice, you know what I mean? But no, it's Paige failed us, so I'm mad at her now. just stupid shit, okay? Just stupid. After this, Shinsuke, he has a little vignette promo thing that he does where he's talking about he's not coming alone when he comes back. We didn't want you here by yourself. We didn't want you here with a partner. I don't care if you come with a faction. Just stay off my TV screen at this point, okay? You don't speak English, all right? Your character has failed multiple times. Vince couldn't get you over. Triple H isn't going to get you over. It is what it is. After this, it's already the main event, bro. It's already the main event. Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill, they have a match, all right? This match sucked. This match fucking sucked, okay? I don't know what else to say about it, man. Fucking Alexa Bliss, she ends up coming out at the end to distract because, the baddies, they're getting involved in the match. And, Alexa Bliss, she's looking absolutely bangable as well. She's up there with her Lily doll for whatever reason. And then the lights go out. And then Tatum Paxley, she's on, like, the top turnbuckle, standing all the way up at the top, and then she does a crossbody on the baddies. That's her debut. Cool, I guess. Jade still had ample opportunity at the end of this, like after all that happened, to win, but she just didn't. Charlotte Flair ends up hitting the natural selection. Just a botchy end to this match. It was fucking ridiculous, and Charlotte Flair wins. That's that. Okay? Charlotte Flair wins. And so now, Jade Cargill is even further buried. Okay? For no reason at all. Is Charlotte, this is what I'm saying. Is Charlotte Flair over? Is Charlotte Flair over? Because Triple H is talking all this about, oh, well, you got to get yourself over and this, that, and the other, and then we'll give you opportunity. Is Charlotte Flair over? When's the last time she was over? Is she over? Is she? And at least Jade Cargill is a young star, right? She's somebody that you can push, somebody that you can build new things, new storylines, new this, new that with, okay? You can't do that with Charlotte Flair. She's been around how long now? How fucking long? Damn near 2 decades at this fucking point. You know what I'm saying? Charlotte Flair is old as shit at this point, okay? I rip the band-aid. She's old, okay? It's over with. She's been in the game like 15 years at this point, bruh. Let it go. Let it die, okay? 14 championships, and she's not over at all. 14 world championships, and she's not over. Let it go. But no, she gets more opportunities. Let me ask you a question. Is either of them Fatal Attraction women, are they over? I'll give them this just because they're new. I'll give them a pass. But let me ask, is Big Cass over? Was he over before he left? Was Big Cass the enigma that was Enzo? How is Big Cass gonna get over without Enzo? How? Explain. Was Big Cass over before he left? Is he over now? Since he came back and he attacked Javon Evans, a guy who has no accolades to his name at all. What are we doing here? So Big Cass, he gets opportunities, right? He gets ample TV time, right? He's gonna be on primetime TV, although he's done no work over there. And I'm not even saying that I'm mad that Big Cass is back, but we just got to be honest here. How are you gonna get Big Cass over if Vince McMahon couldn't get him over? How? How about Cody Rhodes, who's always winning? Is he over at this? No, he's not over anymore. Nobody cares about CM Punk anymore. Okay? Nobody gives a shit. Are these guys over? Was Jey Uso over when you were shoving them down everybody's throat? He had the people yeeting. Sure, that's fun to do to retards, I guess. I don't know. But is that over? Is that what you're talking about when you mean over? How about Jacob Fatu? Was he over? Like, what, all these guys that you continue to push. How about Damian Priest? When you were pushing him, trying to shove him down the proverbial throat. Was he over? Stephanie V. She returned. Stephanie V returned. What a great Raw. Is she over with her thick ass? She's over with me. She can get over with me. I tell you what. But is she over? No. All these people who are supposedly, you get over, we'll give you opportunity. It's a lie. It's a fucking scam. This show is proof. We have nothing new going on. Nothing new. We're about to get what? Charlotte Flair versus Chelsea Green, or Nia Jax versus Chelsea Green, or one of the Fatal Influence hoes between or against Chelsea Green, or Tiffany Stratton against Chelsea. I don't even care about these matches because they're just going to be that, just matches. There are no storylines. He just said that he's not going to write storylines. It's not on us. It's not on creative. It's not on giving you storylines. It's on you. And none of these people, as I've studied them over these last couple of years that I've been watching the majority of these people on this TV screen, right? Like the Tiffany Strattons, like the Chelsea Greens, you know what I mean? And long before that as well, with all these, most of these people are not creative enough. They're not creative enough to come up with their own storylines, their own personality traits and character traits that are going to get over to the majority of the audience. Why? It's not because they're like inept or anything like that. They have talents in other things. They are athletes. I'm not saying you can't be an athlete and a writer, or an athlete and a creative, but shit, you're given certain gifts. And you got to use your gifts to your best abilities. And their gifts come from being athletic. At least a lot of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Can't say that about Kevin Owens and fucking CM Punk and shit like that. But that's where their gifts are. Where the creative team comes in, Triple H, since I got to explain this shit to you. Where the creative team comes in, Triple H, is they're supposed to give these actors and these athletes shit to do. Shit that's going to keep them over. Shit that's going to keep the people interested in them. And if you can't do that, that is a fucking failure upon you, Triple H. You as the CCO. Your creative team. Road Dogg is gone. Vince is gone. Everybody that you had in your way that could possibly control anything that you were doing, they're all gone. You were given the keys to the kingdom. The keys to the castle, and what do? You hop on podcasts and complain about it. The job that you've been vying for the last decade and a half, or 2 decades and a half. The same job that you've been vying for, to be the head of this shit. You got it. And now all you do is complain. Now all you do is push it on the talent. Tell the talent that they got to get better. When the talent is doing their damnedest. They're doing their absolute damnedest. They're going out there and putting their fucking bodies on the line every single week, doing all these crazy ass flips and dips and dives, jumping out of the ring and getting cracked over their heads with steel chairs and all this shit, and going through announce tables and this, that, and the other. They're putting their bodies on the line, putting their lives on the line every single week. Why? Because that's all they can do. You haven't given them anything. I don't expect actors. I don't expect Reese Witherspoon and Leonardo DiCaprio and Denzel Washington to come out and write a fucking a Grammy or a fucking Oscar award worthy movie, and I don't expect that, because they're actors. Their talents are in conveying emotions, acting and reacting. That is where their talents lie. I wouldn't expect them. Would I be, I'd be thrilled if that happened. You know what I mean? I'd be absolutely thrilled, right? But I'm saying I don't expect that, because that's not where their talents lie. Just like I don't expect fucking John Singleton, rest in peace, right? I don't expect John Singleton to be, coming out and giving me Oscar-worthy acting. I don't expect that. I expect him to be a good writer, to be a great director. M. Night Shyamalan, I wouldn't even say that he's a great director. Honestly, his movies are overrated. But even him, right? I wouldn't expect him to be a great actor. I wouldn't expect it. Stephen King, I wouldn't expect it. But they're great at writing. Great at putting stories together. That is where their talent lies. And you have zero talent in creative, Triple H, which is why all you can do is blame everybody else. You got to blame the fans for having high expectations. You got to blame the talent for not, getting over the bullshit that you give them, if you give them anything. You got to blame TKO. You got to blame Road Dogg. You got to blame Vince McMahon. You got to blame the difficulty of the job. Everything gets blamed except for Triple H. That's why these shows suck. That's why Friday Night SmackDown fucking suck. That's why SummerSlam suck. That's why nobody's talking about it. Imagine that. The second biggest show of the year. The second biggest show of the year. And there are no storylines coming out of it. No fanfare. Nobody cares. Congratulations, Triple H. You fucked yourself. But somehow, some way, Triple H is still employed. Ladies and gentlemen, you gotta make it make sense to me. Ladies and gentlemen, you gotta make it make sense to me. How is this man still employed? How? I rack my brain and all I can think are conspiracies. It's all I can think at this point. Because there's no fucking way that somebody can suck this bad at their job and continue to be employed. This particular SmackDown, I give this SmackDown a 0 out of 10. 0 out of 10. 0 things entertained me on this show. 0 things entertained me. The best part about this show was looking at the women. Sounds misogynistic, but it is what it is, okay? It's all the fuck was on this show. So, that's been my opinion for the show. Let me know what y'all thought about the comments down in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you want to hear some more. And this has been your boy, Nate the Great, back with another video. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Decreepify with the sigil lithage, the monsters will barely move. But there is the problem. It doesn't stack with amplify curse damage, so I can't use that combo. That's too bad. Yeah, I really wish I could stack more than 99 full rejuve potions in my stash. Also, we need a hotkey to send materials directly to the general stash, not just the material tab. And I made a topaz the armor for more magic find. Ooh, vampire gloves. It's a Dracula's grasp. Finally, I found the monarch. And then I will use the Lajuk. Tal, Jewel, Ort. 35 FCR. Wait. 28. Hoi. On there. Yeah, I need 156 strengths. Okay. And vitality to left over. And I will use this Defiler, 20 points into Demonic Mastery, including the skill points. And then Master Bind the Demon. And my main skill is Blood Boil Master. And then I have 33 skill points. And 1 point to Lethargy. 아니, I misclicked. I put 2 points into Lethargy. Okay, Master Engorge. It increased the melee damage when I increase the Engorge. Blood Oath. It will be increased the fire damage. Okay, Blood Oath. Okay, 2 Defiler. And I have to taming the Bind the Demon. Oh, Cursed. He has Cursed. Okay. And the aura he got, it's Blessed Aim. I have 28 skill points into Bind the Demon, so he get the random aura when I taming him. What is the Defiler attack? He doesn't attack, but the Bind the Demon, you can see on the green aura, it share the damage, the nearby. So when I hit 100% damage to one, the other get 46% damage. Please, this time, Fanat. Show me what you got. Is that a Fanat? Holy Freeze. Holy Freeze is not that bad. Holy Freeze and Lightning Enchant also good. Blood Boil is some fire and melee damage near the demons. 3 of them, like this. Defiler kill faster than 2 Goatmen. Yeah, farming is better than the Goatmen. But the boss fight, single target, is Goatman is better. And now we don't have to check the Talon base because we can't make the mosaic. Wow! Did you see that? 3 Phoenix Strike. Great Talons. The best base for the mosaic. We can't make the mosaic in this level contents. This was so bad if there is a mosaic. Yeah, the Blizzard, they blocked the mosaic for the remake for this season. Said. Is it 4? Is there anyone play the Nova Source in this season? But everyone play the Warlock. Oh yeah, Death Mask. Tarasha. Now I can upgrade my mercenary gear from Dusk Deep to Tarasha. It's my first skiller charm, but it's the passive and magic skills. It's better than defensive aura or cursed charm is the worst. Oh, Key of Terror. Nice. It's really good. Get in the stash. 99 stacks. I have many gold. And what about gambling the amulet or the circlet? Tid, Tal, M. I made an edge for the reduced vendor price. Wait. 1 druid. 3 mastery. I upgrade to 1 warlock skill and 50 mana. Just one more try and... wait, chaos? It's a chaos skill. Not a demon. Herald, please come out. Oh, Herald is hunting in Bloodfoot Hill. Oh, I found it. It's here. Herald of Light. Wow, I killed him. Level 5. 4 Ores charm. Nice finding. Oh, Eastern World Stone Shard. It's Terrorize Act 2. What rune word are we searching to make? I want to change my Mercenary's weapon to Obedience because this build is not good at the boss fighting. Obedience for 40% crushing blow. And also I want to find the G-Face. Thank you for kind word. And Grand Charm is Chaos Skiller. What? Oh! Eldritch Skiller? Oh, wait a sec. Echoing Strike is Eldritch, right? Its price is Marlun. Someone selling with Marlun. Oh, Purlun this time. Oh ho, yes. I need a crushing blow. Oink! War belt. Height. Thunder God drops. Oh wait. Immune to physical and cursed. I think he has. Okay. Let me check. Wow, there's so many stats. And his aura is there a might? It's just only one aura. But my Mizan already have the might. Okay. Oh yeah, Burning Souls. I really want to get that army of defilers like them. And I found another cursed lister, so I taming him, and it was bless the aim, unfortunately. And I finally found the demon head is the perfect fit for my demon build. The fire resist penalty is a bit annoying, but +2 all skills is crazy. Yeah, back in the day, this was mostly for the mercenaries. And okay, Demon Hide Gloves is a Horizon set. Horizon Hold, my first Horizon item. Oh, Eldritch Orb. It's a 1 to 3 skill levels. Hi. Wow, what a trash roll. It's only 1 skill. Wow, 2 Key of Terror in 1 contest. Oh. And Eorun. This Grand Charm from the Bell. So I can crafting with perfect gems. Okay, last. Hey! Oh! But life is too low. 10 maximum damage. 73 is -3 AR from the max roll. Dusk Shroud. Ethereal Dusk Shroud. Wait. Oh shit. Oh my gosh. I can't put these potions in shared stash because it's full. I want to put this potion into just normal stash, but there is no hotkey. Emrun. Oh, Lemrun? Oh, I didn't check. Shadow Lem. Treasury. Okay. Grimside. Let's make the strengths for the mercenary, just for the bell. Congratulations. Oh, Sacred Touch. Please. Streamer Lux activated. It's 45% all resistant. Oh! 38 Ores, 4 socket. But this ladder, nobody play Paladins. Duplicator, Ethereal, 15 ED. Oh, wow, shit. It's a perfect roll, Duplicator, but it's only 3 socket. Ah, shit. Perfect Malice. Oh, wait, don't kill them all. Lister. 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 Ah, holy shock, Lister. Magic resistant, cursed, and holy shock. Immune to fire, immune to cold. Oh, scarab shell. But the scarab shell 68, yeah, 70 is max roll. And Sacred Touch is 38 resistant. And Monarch for socket 2. Trap. 3 Eldritch skill this time. 3 Eldritch again. Wow, shit. Come on. Oh yes, 3 demon. Yes, 3 demon. Yeah, I have 2 chaos and 2 eldritch skiller. Okay, I want to stay all night until the godly drop. Oh, godly drop? Is this Wordstone Shard? Deep Wordstone Shard is Terrorize Act 4. To right click. It was Deep Wordstone. It's a Malrun, Omrun. What about the Western? It's around the mile. Oh, War Boots! Go Rider! Let's go! No Ethereal. Hey! 193 ED. Go Rider. Oh, Grand Charm. Is that Guide? Guide Charm, right? Guide Charm. 34 Magic Find. And 14 vendor price reduced. Oh, not this one. Oh, okay. Which aura are you have? It's a might. Might. Oh, mirrored boots. Wait. It has demon skills in it. And faster run walk. And dexterity. Wow. +1 demon skill. Okay. Oh, Vexrun. Yeah, there is the Eldritch skill or Demon skill and Chaos skill between the 3 skillers. And I found the Demon one. Okay, he has the Might aura, so I just changed to Holy Freeze until the new Pokemon is coming. Jemali, let's go. Unique ring drop, okay. I will give it to the Kane. Kane gives me Jordan or PK ring. I believe you, Kane. I always rescue you in the Act 1 rogue camp. Let's go. Holy Grail. It means not a Monald, right? Hey! 와, 개쓰레기 15. The trash roll. Warlock's FCR breakpoint is 75% and 125%, so I made 30 plus FCR Monarch and get FCR ring, so I can get 75% FCR. I try hard to find the Fanaticism aura lister, but this Conviction aura is also nice because Blood Boil has the fire damage on it. And okay, Winged Helm is the G-Face. It has 35% crushing blow. So now I don't have the strength, so I change Mercenary's gear to the Bone Hue for more damage. And Ethereal Bone Weave for Socket. Okay, nice. And Colossus food, it was ethereal, no socket, but it's a Lajuk 4 socket. I've drawn the Herald twice in a row, but still haven't found a single one. But don't worry, the stacks are building up. So as soon as the Terror Zone resets, I'm heading out to hunt down those 2 Heralds. Yeah, one is in the hole level 1. He has the concentration aura. And Terror Zone changed to Durance, so it is in the level 1. Wow, Stygian Dolls Herald. That's terrible. Okay, but only rare items drop. The statue of the ancients only drops from terrorized bosses, so whenever a boss map gets terrorized, it's a must run. And the set demon head, it's a horizon countenance. This is a warlock set item. And another herald I killed. Swapped the magic find. And I found the legendary mallet. What a huge drop. Please give this when I play the unique only. And swap. And Elder Staff. It's a Ondal's Wisdom. 2 to 4 all skills. And I got the 4 all skill one. The max roll. So I can upgrade my weapon plus 4 skill. Yeah, 2 to 4 all skills and defense energy, magic damage reduced. And I tamed another cursed lister, but it was the holy fire. Another shard. And set Corona, not a unique. It's a Griswold set. Haha. And large charm and unique Yari drops. Yeah, that's the Hon Sundan. Yeah, I was switching my mercenary's weapon to a Hon Sundan Yari because, to be honest, he's not doing much during the normal farming, but I need that crushing blow for the bosses and put Shy Runes to boost the attack speed. Yeah, once I get a demon with the Fanaticism aura, he will hit the max attack speed breakpoints later. Oh, 씨발. 와, 뭐냐 방금? What's that? Oh, 씨발. Oh, 2 H key at once. I think my gear is finally good to go, so it's time to start farming keys. 3 H key, perfect. 2 demon skill. And let's find the destruction keys. And I found the swirling crystal set. But it was 111. What a trash. Shut the fuck. Sorry. And I found 1 D key. And the grand charm, it was elemental skills. Nobody plays the druid this season. And I found 3 D keys now. And then let's find the T key, Terra key. And also I found the 2 far rune. So I have 3 loom to core rune. And then I can make the obedience. Yeah, I have the 5 socket ethereal thrasher. Hell, Coal, Der, Ed, and Far for obedience. It has a 40% crushing blow and super high ED and resistance. So my mercenary gear is perfect now. And I made the ground, Shy, Eo, and Ortrun for lightning absorb and resistant for Uber Mephisto. 4 skill Ondal. Andy Visage, Spirit, Authority, and Rare Gloves, Lightning Resist Belt and Boots, 3 Demon Skill Amulet, and Raven Frost and Rare Ring. Life Charm and Resist Charm. Mercenary using Obedience, G-Phase, and Treasury Armor. And skill 1 Lethargy, and maximum Blood Boil, Engorge, and Bind Demon, and some points into Blood Oath and Demonic Mastery, and Death Mark. And the Hephaestus is the Fanaticism Aura plus Cursed. Starting with the easiest one, Uber Duriel. Yeah, I swapping my Defilers for Goatman this time. And their Crushing Blow will melt Duriel's health early on. But it gets tricky later because Duriel's health generation is insane. I couldn't get any open wounds gear, so my plan is simple. I'm gonna spam Blood Boil as much as I can and melt Duriel down. Yeah, out damage his health regen with the Blood Boil. And use Sigil Lethargy for the Lilith. And Hephaestus tanking is top notch. Yeah, my mercenary can focus on landing those crushing blows without a care. It's super easy. Yeah, Uber Izur? Yeah, it's a piece of cake. Everything is going exactly as planned. Okay. Before we step into Uber Tristram, I'm borrowing my mercenary's treasury. I'm gonna stand in these flames to trigger the Fade proc. This gives me a massive boost to resistance and damage reduction. And change to Thunder God. And now Mephisto Conviction Aura won't be a problem. Okay, let's go, coming. And I will use Defiler this time. Because Mephisto constantly summons skeletons, so I have to clear them out immediately. Bell loves to teleport right next to me, so I will use that to pull him away from Diablo. And since he keeps summoning demons, so I will stick with my Defilers for now to clear them out. And then I will change to the Goatman for the Crushing Blow. But there is no corpse, so I can't healing my demons, so I have to heal my demon first from the Mala. And then go back to Bell, and I kill the Bell finally. Okay, now only Diablo left. And also there is so many demons, so I use the Defiler. Okay, almost clear. Okay, there are so many corpses, so I can easily healing my demons. Okay, finally I clear the Uber contents. And I get the Hellfire Torch, and it was Assassin. Next time I'm gonna challenge the Uber Ancients, so thanks for watching and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.
I doubt it. You
Just when I thought. Paul Levesque, you put on a good show on Monday. I was running around town saying WWE's back. Now Crackdown rolls around and I'm still saying WWE's back to being garbage. God, you came to the city of brotherly love and turned it into the city of brotherly from stinking up the place from that stupid show that you put on last night. My God, dog, I promise you, this company makes me feel like I'm all the way up at the top floor and I just got on the elevator. Oh! Why you say that, Bobby Monsoon? You don't get it? The Fed done let me down! God, this was one of the worst episodes of Crackdown in 2026. I cannot believe this company came to the city of Philadelphia and put on a stinker to this level. I feel so stupid thinking WWE was back earlier this week and this company was finally gonna try to turn things around. The crazy thing is, I wasn't even expecting a great show. I wasn't expecting a good show. I would have been happy if you gave me something mid because my expectations for this company are that low. The fact that the Fed couldn't do this is disgusting. Everything that possibly happened to make a show bad happened last night, literally. Talent getting buried, matches being booked that we literally saw the week prior, storylines lacking any type of real emotion or believability, champions being booked like jobbers, and last but not least, a horrible main event with the few final moves ending up in complete botches from everybody, including the commentator calling the match. I really get the feeling sometimes that Joe Tessitore never watched wrestling in his life before he started working for WWE. Charlotte Flair hits the Sister Abigail on Jade Cargill to win the main event yesterday, and Joe Tessitore calls the move a DDT. What a idiot! Jade vs. Charlotte was a match I've been excited for since the first day they teased it backstage when Jade debuted. This ended up being one of the most disappointing matches and main events I've seen in a long time. And then WWE does what they do best, and that's make a bad situation worse. Alexa Bliss comes out, and she introduces a surprise, and I'm thinking, okay, who we got, y'all? Maybe we got Bianca Belair coming back. I heard she just had a baby. Shout out to her and Montez Ford. Congratulations to the new addition to the family. And I'm thinking, man, maybe Bianca Belair done snapped back and ready to get back in action. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Then I started thinking maybe it was Kairi Sane. Maybe they figured out the contract litigation. She re-signed with the Fed and they rebranded her character. But of course, that wasn't the case either. So the big character they debuted was Tatum Paxley.
Who?
Sorry, Tatum Paxley, or whatever her name is. Quite frankly, I don't care. Are you serious? I watch this show every single week. Faithfully, I have never seen this woman in my life. I cannot believe this creative team is really stupid enough to think that anybody outside of watching NXT would know who Timu Rhea Ripley is. Well, welcome to the main roster, baby girl. This is the burial site for anybody coming up in the Fed. Good luck. On top of that, you had a boring segment from CM Punk and Kevin Owens. Oh my God. We are literally watching Punk do the same exact thing with every big match he has. I don't understand why creative can't come up with anything different for him to do. He's fighting Roman Reigns on the cusp of WrestleMania 40 snooze, and all we get is a bunch of in-ring promos. He turns around and fights Raheem at SummerSlam. Once again, bunch of in-ring promos. I'm crossing my fingers with this feud against Kevin Owens. We're gonna get something different, but of course not. Another boring in-ring promo about he's the best in the world. You could be blind as a bat and realize this guy is nowhere near the best in the world. If anything, you're probably the best at botching moonsaults. And I'm not even sure I would give you that title either. This writing team has gotten so lazy they abandoned any and everything outside a normal procedure. I said this before, man. Why don't we ever get segments where somebody's showing up to somebody else's house, or a huge fight breaking out backstage, or something different like remember when Mankind used to be in a boiler room all the time? That was fire. Stone Cold Steve Austin pulling up with the bear truck. Something to get us excited and throw a curveball into a show. This company books the same show week after week after week after week after week. So y'all know Brock Lesnar made his retirement official when he went on a Pat McAfee show. Now there's speculation that this isn't a real retirement and he might actually be coming back at WrestleMania 43 after they give him the big bag. Now that remains to be seen, but as of right now he's hanging it up. So Brock basically passed the torch to Oba Femi in front of everybody at SummerSlam after the Hell in a Cell match. Oba comes out on Raw. He solidifies the torch passing and he's the top guy of the company. The next thing he does is go to a live event and do a segment with Danhausen. These two look awkward doing this, man. I'm gonna show y'all this. I want to thank everybody that's copping the merch, that's liking, commenting, subscribing, hyping, everybody in my lives multiple times in the week, all the people in the chat. I want to thank everybody, man. Y'all really helped the channel grow. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. BobbyMonsoon.com. And why you say that shirt now? Back to the content! Crackdown started off with a boring segment between Kevin Owens and CM Punk. Yo, oh my God, bro. Can Punk do anything right now to give some excitement to any of his feuds? This is click copy, click paste, click copy, click paste. God, these two are cutting a promo about nothing, dog. Like CM Punk, I'm the best in the world. Kevin Owens, I'm the best in the world. It's like, can both of these dudes shut up and work on telling a better story? And to make matters worse, they doing this fake pull apart brawl where Kevin Owens pushed CM Punk. And now, like, you see how nobody's touching neither one of these guys? If they wanted to really get at each other, they could. Nobody's really holding these guys back. You can look in their eyes. They're not taking it serious. Nobody believes these two. Not one person. Yo, oh my God, bro. You did this in Philly? We're in Philly, the home of ECW, dog. Like, how about shaking it up? Remember when Kevin Owens attacked Cody Rhodes by the... Give me something that I could get excited for, this fake brawl. Oh my God, man. I just took that as disrespect to the utmost, bro. You being in Philly and y'all got that weak brawl like that, man. But they didn't even brawl. Punk got pushed, didn't do nothing. And that was it, bro. But when I seen that segment, I was like, oh my God. I started to get woozy a little bit, y'all. I was like, oh, hold on. Is WWE really back, or did they fool me with a one-off show? Next, you got Baron Corbin with his titles with the fur. Dog, oh my God. WWE Creative, you don't know how dumb this guy looks running around with a U.S. title with fur. It's like, when did that match happen? Saturday, Sunday? You had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You couldn't find the U.S. belt! And gave it to Baron Corbin. And this company is just that lazy, right? You couldn't get a replica belt. You couldn't. I cannot believe you want us to be sold on this big tough guy. Like he's running through like the Undertaker, the old version with his Harley Davidson with a U.S. title that got fur on it. I'm looking at this show like, what am I watching? On top of that, oh, they literally did the same exact ending as SummerSlam, with Baron Corbin hitting him with the title, and that's how Trick Williams lose. It's like, oh my God, these writers, these agents, these producers, these creatives are not doing anything to try to book a good show. They're not even trying. You would think something different for their second match. I'm getting very, very afraid for Trick Williams, and I'm calling it too, dog. I don't think Trick winning Money in the Bank. I think WWE is losing faith in Trick Williams. I'ma still keep my fingers crossed. I'll be surprised if he win, but I'm starting to think WWE is about to start burying Trick Williams for whatever reason. You know, we don't get reasons why people get buried. Karrion Kross doing a good job, buried. Trick Williams doing a good job, he's getting buried. Ricky Saints, he didn't even get a chance to get a good job. They put him on main event. I could keep going. The list goes on and on and on and on. Ilya Dragon, it's just like, come on, bro. Next, you got Chelsea Green having a celebration, y'all, for being the new intern. She's the new women's championship, right? Or is she intern? I don't know. If I'm not on the internet, I wouldn't know. Oh my, Lazy Levesque! Dog, how hard is it to fill people in on what's going on? You sold everybody for this interim championship. Then she comes out of nowhere with a shirt that says interim, let's cross it out and say permanent. The level of laziness in this company is just so alarming. TKO, why aren't you doing anything about this? Can you not see this is the reason why SummerSlam had a bunch of tarts? On one half of the building is stupid stuff like this. Not everybody's a wrestling nerd like myself. I'm gonna be online. I'm gonna be Googling and hitting X and hitting up the forums on Reddit trying to figure out what's going on. The average casual fan doesn't do that. It takes 2 seconds to say Rhea Ripley had surgery, she's permanently dropping the title. Nick Aldis should have came out and made it a big deal saying, yo, she's not the interim champion, she's officially the champion. This company is so lazy. So she wound up having a tag team match with Fatal Influence. Oh, this group is so trash to me. I don't feel nothing anytime these three come out. Shout out Fallon. She looks nice, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm not invested in anything they're doing. They have a tag team match, Tiffany and Chelsea versus Fatal Influence. The end of the match, of course, Tiffany and Chelsea loses. And now you got Nia Jax standing over Chelsea Green. Oh my God, I wonder who booked this, y'all. Man, the burial of Chelsea Green it seems like it's starting, dog. I don't understand it. Why? Why does she have to take the pin? Why? Why does she have to get attacked? Now, I get the attack part or whatever, but also somebody else who got buried was Lash Legend. Lash Legend just squashed Julia, right? She wanted to be in the ladder match. She wanted to be Women's World Champion. Then she turns around and she's pointing at Nia Jax being champion. Yo, the contradictions of this writing is unbelievable, bro. Next, you have another boring segment with Randy Orton and Raheem, and oh my God. To be honest, y'all, I don't know what was more boring. The one earlier with Punk and KO or this one, man. Nothing literally happened. Cody Rhodes he's overcompensating. He's trying to cut these passionate promos. It's just like, we don't believe you, Cody. Cody and Randy feels nothing like how it felt when Randy first turned heel. It feels nothing in comparison so far. They literally talked about nothing. Cody says something like, oh man, oh, you're the last legend left. Who's gonna take you out? I guess you, Cody, stop it. You're not going to take Randy Orton out. Triple H wouldn't book that in a million years. It's only one guy that retires people, that's Gunther. You're not taking Randy Orton out. We already see that from a mile away. They're setting up Gunther and Randy Orton. We see it. Next, you got a horrible main event, man. Jade Cargill and Charlotte Flair Everything. This main event was just cursed, Chad. Joe Tessitore called his sister Abigail to DDT. I think Jade Cargill or maybe Charlotte Flair. Let's just say both of them. Yeah, man. Botched the move. Jade Cargill was trying to do like a variation of a power bomb. She winds up falling, stumbling, and bumbling. Then the sister Abigail looked weak. Then why is Charlotte Flair doing the sister Abigail? Why? Why? None of this makes sense. Fallon, the lights cut out. Fallon, whatever. That's what's her name? Taysom Paxi. Timu Rhea Ripley comes out. Oh my God. And I'm sorry. I see a lot of people saying, Tam Paxley, she's great. She's great. We don't watch NXT. Sorry. God, we wouldn't know who this chick is. No one cares about this. This is your main event. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about this stupid show. Crackdown was bad, man. This was the most disappointed show I've seen in a while. Every single week, dog. I already know I'm getting 2 hours of trash, 3 hours of trash. Even though I knew I wasn't going to get too good of a show this week, it's just I didn't know it wasn't going to be nothing to talk about. I didn't know it was going to be this bad. Botches in the main event. Dumb, oh my God, surprises nobody wanted. Feuds that keep doing this. Oh my God, I'm so frustrated. I can't even talk, y'all. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about that, man. I'm disappointed. If y'all see me on live yesterday, I'm heartbroken, man. It was like, I thought WWE was back. I probably spoke too soon, man. So I'm still gonna hope for a good Raw. But to be honest, I'm so distraught. I don't even think we're gonna get a good Raw, man. This company obviously didn't learn nothing, and whatever, man. But I'm gonna holler at y'all in the comments, man. Monday we got Raw. Finally we got a weekend off, so I'm probably gonna catch up on some rest, chill with the family and stuff, man. We'll be back Monday, and God, man, thanks a lot, Paul Levesque, for the spit in the face you gave to the city of Philadelphia, dog. Thanks a lot, man. I'm gonna holler at y'all in the comments. It's Bobby Monsoon 215. Like, comment, subscribe. Blah!
So a number of months ago, I was at the grocery store, and this was around 1 or 2 in the morning, really one of the only grocery stores in the area that is still 24 hours. But there was a woman in front of me in line who probably had a week or two's worth of groceries, a lot of stuff on the line. And I would assume she had kids because some of the things in her cart were things you usually only get if you have kids. And as she was about to pay for her groceries, her card did not go through. And it was late, of course. Now, there was very few people in the store, myself included, so I didn't mind the wait, and understandably things happen. It's not the most far-fetched thing in the world. But she was on the phone with, I would assume, a boyfriend or a friend of hers. I have no idea. And they didn't end up picking up. I would assume she was calling them to have them load money onto the card. And she ended up not getting the groceries and leaving the store. Now, something that stood out about this whole interaction that I saw was she had the latest phone. She had a brand new pair of shoes, new clean pair of jeans, whole outfit done up, necklace, earrings, all these things. But she couldn't pay for necessities like groceries. Now, I could get into spending and prioritizing and living within your means, but nonetheless, a lot of women are now seeing what it is like to be financially independent. I don't know if this woman was a single mother. I don't know if she has a boyfriend. I have no idea what her situation is. Obviously, I don't know her personally. And there's part of me in the back of my mind who wishes I could help someone like that and pay for their groceries, right? But when I see that they have everything else that they're spending a lot of money on, really to have the image of appearing that you have money, it makes me think, why should I feel bad for them? Because if they do have kids, they're not prioritizing them. They're not prioritizing things they should. And of course, I'm critical of grocery price. I mean, you look at things that have skyrocketed in the past few years. Now, of course, things like cherries and strawberries, there are certain things that have always been somewhat expensive, but nonetheless, many other things have gotten a lot more expensive. Like in the city I'm in, I don't think it's like this everywhere, and I don't personally shop at a lot of the kind of big box run-of-the-mill grocery stores. But and this one that I had seen the interaction at is a more budget-friendly one. But the price of water, things that I would usually get, certain produce items, has become a lot more expensive. But nonetheless, expensive grocery costs or not, women are now seeing what it is like being financially independent. And there was this mindset that a lot of women had adopted, and perhaps still have, thinking that when they get to a certain point or a certain age, when they want to settle down, whatever that even is at this point. Because I see women even in their 30s acting like they're in their late teens or early 20s. Thinking that a guy's going to come along and be their retirement plan. So they can make all the mistakes, they can make all the financial mistakes, they can go to the nightclubs, go to the bars, do all these things, go from guy to guy, and then when they're ready, keep in mind, not when whoever else is ready, whenever they're ready, that they're going to have someone come along like a Prince Charming and be their retirement plan and provide for them, which providing, by the way, is a lot more than just financial. When it doesn't at all work that way. Now, what's so just baffling about this whole thing and this whole discussion is I would put money on it. I would guarantee it that a lot of women that think that way, that eventually get to their mid-30s or 40s and realize that's not how it works, probably had those men when they were in their 20s who wanted to take them on dates and would have had that ability to provide financially. They turned them down or thought they were boring. They thought they were desperate. They thought they were clingy because they showed any interest at all. And that's the thing I will say too. These kind of games that so many men are seeing, because let's not forget, ultimately, the reason why men are not dating, the reason why a lot of men are staying single, that is regardless of what a lot of folks might try to point to, this whole false idea of men falling behind, all different kinds of things. The primary reason is attitude and entitlement. Those two things right there, really behavior, but those two things right there are the primary reasons why so many men are staying single. Because they have self-respect and they're not going to settle in the first place. But seeing these kinds of games, where if you show any interest at all, let alone mutual interest, certainly more interest, it would apply, but it's almost like give some and then they pull back. Give some and then they pull back because they think you're clingy, they think you're desperate, that you're too easy or whatnot. And so now you have people who are looking at things like even just a basic text interaction and looking at it as some kind of rocket science project where you have to reply within a certain amount of hours, otherwise you come across as desperate or needy. Where you leave the person on red for a day, all this kind of stuff. When it's like, what about just replying on your own time when you're available to get on your phone and you see a text, which, again, let's not be naive with this either. You shouldn't need to, first of all, double or triple text women in the first place. You know, you're going to tell me that they don't have their phone right by them. That's the thing that someone did tell me, someone who was a lot older and a lot wiser than I am, told me that this idea of someone, oh, I didn't see your text, that's all really made up for the most part. They have their phones now. So seeing these kind of things and seeing these kind of games, men are not going to go along with it. Certainly men who have self-respect. And additionally, men who have that ability to where they get to a point where they are financially comfortable and can help financially. Which, by the way, a woman needs to provide a lot more in a relationship than just being a woman. They definitely don't have time for it because they are focusing on building themselves. They don't have time to dedicate to their day to play these kind of games. They don't at all have that. So, seeing that right there makes perfect sense why so many men are single. Makes perfect sense why so many women are single. And why they're going to see what it is like to be financially independent. I'm sure we've all seen this kind of trope too, where when women are in their 20s, going on dates, getting the free drinks, the free food. And I've even heard of things like this where women will make dating app profiles with no intention of getting in a relationship, but with all the intention of getting the with all the intention of getting the attention and validation. And they will have made their profile also they can have guys pay for their food, basically. They'll go on different dinner dates, go to these extravagant restaurants and rack up the bill. I've heard of things like that. Now, the short time that I was on dating apps when I was in my early 20s, I had never come across that. But I've heard of things like that happening. And I've heard of it being quite common. Again, I think they should change the name of those things. 'Cause they're certainly not for dating. It's for attention. It's for validation. It is a complete waste of time. Very few times have I seen people actually lead to a relationship from a woman they had met on a dating app. Very few times. And I would imagine it's far less than 1% even. Could I safely say perhaps. But when it comes to the attitude, the kind of rudeness, mentioning the grocery stores, even this past Thursday, I was out and about. And there was a woman who was working at this grocery store. And I had asked her if she could help me find something. I was looking for, I think it was organic 2% milk. And I had said, excuse me, she didn't give me any eye contact. I had said it again, and then she finally kind of looked me in the eye. But you could tell she was just angry, attitude. Something was off. And she just very rudely and dismissively said, whatever milk we have there, we have. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, number one, when things like this happen, and I'm flawed as anyone else is. Nobody's perfect. I wish that I didn't get any form of anger in these kind of moments, right? Or feeling of kind of disrespect. The best thing to do is just to, especially little petty things like this, just let it go. Right? And I understand that people could be having bad days. I get that. But this has become a very common occurrence, especially in things like customer service when it comes to the way I see women interacting with customers. But seeing things like this makes me think, this kind of attitude, yeah, no man is going to want to date or marry a woman like that. And that's the thing, too. I've been seeing this kind of campaign where it's almost like these are the women that we are expected to marry. These are the women that self-respecting men are expected to marry, to overlook these things, to not have standards. This kind of campaign I've seen. I'll say this to, and you could take this as credit or not to women, but I see a lot of women who will actively prop each other up, right? But it's not for the betterment of the woman. So I wouldn't say it really is due credit. And perfect example is, if you have a friend of yours and you see that they are actively doing something that is detrimental, or that they could improve on this, you will tell them in private, respectfully, with the right intentions, that they should change this about themselves, that perhaps they're going down a bad path. Whereas I will see women who will prop each other up and get mad even when you call out behavior or certain things that they're doing that are objectively negatives. They will prop each other up. And I'm sure we've seen things with a few years ago, things like the body confidence movement, stuff like that, where they will actively even prop up things that are just directly detrimental. And what that has created is this form of entitlement, and really a form of misery. Because so many women now think that they're celebrities. They think that they are above all these men. This is even, average women thinking that they're above average men. I use that word average loosely, so take what you will with that. You know what I mean, though. Thinking that they are above these guys and wanting something that is ultimately not even, and I say not obtainable, because I'm not saying that obviously a guy who's above 6 foot doesn't exist, but I'm saying because it's not even about the individual. It is about the image. It is about this constant chase to have better, this grass is always greener mentality. So they could be with a guy who's 6'3" and has a six pack and whatever you could think of. And there will still be something in the back of their mind, perhaps, that has them thinking they could do better. And that's additionally with being able to live comfortably financially. And I'll say this too, because I've heard an argument for this before, and I used to even be a little bit, I would say, on the fence with this, especially in the city I'm in with the cost of living, where people will make the argument that it is beneficial to have kind of split rent and stuff like that being in a relationship. But I'll tell you what, men are weighing out the risks. They are seeing that it is not at all worth the risk long term to be with a woman without discernment, just to be in a relationship, to have your rent split and certain necessities split, to have the potential to be divorced online, to have things going on that you really have no idea, to overlook a woman's past. No. I wouldn't at all want to be in that position. It is not worth the risks down the line. Just to say that you have, or just to have for in the moment, have split kind of rent living with a woman. No, I wouldn't say so at all. I think a lot of men are weighing out those options and agreeing. But ultimately what it comes down to is you have a lot of women who are going to see this, and rather going to see and come to this realization that it's not fun having to live paycheck to paycheck and live within your means. Because I don't think a lot of women are as prepared for that. Now, of course, I've seen things with academia and women who get high-income jobs, whether they get college degrees or not. Because let's be honest, not every college degree is going to guarantee you a good job in general. That's a different discussion in itself. But seeing that, and then they develop this mindset where they think that they don't need a man, right? So what does that tell you? That they were using men for financial means in the first place? Because that's the other thing I'll say too, is this idea with even competing with a guy in a relationship. That might be even a problem that with splitting an income. You don't compete with someone, number one, who's a friend of yours, who you're in a relationship. Now, I understand there's things like friendly competition, little banter here and there, like in the gym and whatnot, where it doesn't have any bad intention. But I've seen this where women who are ones who perhaps have the ability to be financially independent, feeling like they don't have any use for men, have no problem engaging in things like divorce, not having the best interests of their kids, by the way, now perhaps not being able to see their father. I've seen a lot of that. It is a very weird kind of situation. But at the same time, men have woken up and they are not being retirement plans for women. That shouldn't be the case at all. A woman should be with you whether you have the financial means or not and supportive. What does that tell you if she only wants you when you're at the finish line? Right? If you get to that finish line and you have a woman who now wants to be with you because you made it or your money and stuff, that's not at all going to lead to a loyal, conducive, healthy relationship. That's not at all how it works. So, as always, guys, I appreciate you for viewing the video. And I will say this. When it comes to living within your financial means, take what you will with that. But a lot of women are seeing are going to see with the mindset of, I can do whatever I want to do in my 20s. And now it's really become 30s, let's be honest. And think that some high earner, top echelon, whatever guy is going to come along. No, that's not how it works. So, again, guys, thank you so much. Hope you guys have a good one. So a lot of men are seeing something right now that I think a lot of them, if they haven't already kind of doubled down in this position that many men have where they don't see prospects for a relationship, whether it's focusing on their peace and solitude, whether it is just not seeing someone compatible with their standards, which standards on the basis of behavior, not physical stuff, not looks. But if it's not that, at the very least, giving them incentive to have very, very good discernment. Quite frankly, as they should, right? Because love without discernment will ultimately lead to destruction. But when I was around the age of 21, I had dabbled with these dating apps, in part because I was younger and more naive at the time, but because it just seemed like that is how people were getting to meet each other. That was how, I would say, probably 75 to 80% of the people I know that have gone on dates or been in relationships in the past 5 to 10 years, they were with women that they had met on dating apps, if not even a higher percentage. But it just seemed like that's kind of what the times were, which that doesn't mean that you should play those kind of games. It doesn't mean that you should participate in those things. I think this is a big part of why so many men are opting out, and a lot more than just dating, by the way. This whole thing is much more than just relationships when it comes to men opting out. But a lot of men who get on these dating apps, and myself included, when I dabbled with them, felt this need to constantly level up, really without the women having much accountability, if any at all. But men feeling like they are subpar, like they are not good enough, when, by the way, there's nothing wrong with them, when they are doing everything they should be doing with themselves. This heavy kind of pressure from women and from society, I'll put it that way, where they just feel like they're doing something inherently wrong. Now, this idea of leveling up, I say do it for yourself, for the people around you. Of course, not to go to these extremes where you have the vanity stuff that goes too far, where you have doing it for all the wrong reasons, the flashiness and the social media and that kind of stuff. But to uplift your family and the people in your circle is a great thing. That is an excellent thing. But when it comes to the dating apps, you look at what is rewarded on there. It is nothing that is genuine. So ultimately, what's happened is good men have been pushed away from dating, wanting to participate. And I'll go even further than that. Just men who are authentic, who are genuine, who are their genuine, authentic selves, have been pushed away from these kind of things because they don't want to have to curate some, extravagant bio or description or profile. They want to be their nonchalant selves. And I remember, this was way before dating apps, but several years ago, when I was younger, you would have couples who were into the gym, you would have couples who were into anime, you would have goth couples, but people who had mutual interest. They had a connection with the person, much like a friend of yours having similar interests, perhaps. It was not purely about the image. And what people mean when they say, I'm sure you've heard this a lot, when they say dating feels transactional, it feels like a commodity, which is certainly the case. That is exactly what they mean. This whole keeping up with the Joneses kind of stuff, where you're constantly keeping up with what everyone else thinks. Now, that's no way to live your life. And the other thing, too, I want to say on this, not to go too off topic here, but people have talked about this idea of time going faster. And I've certainly felt that. I think we all have, quite frankly. But I also heard something very interesting, that during times of anxiousness, that time seems to speed up. When someone is dealing with anxiety, that time seemingly goes faster. And I think that dating apps, along with social media, are some of the main proponents of this feeling of anxiousness and time speeding up over the past 5 to 10 years, I suppose. But the women that I had talked to on these dating apps were not at all looking for anything serious. And it was a complete waste of my time. Complete waste of time. First of all, it's superficial, it's fake. And if you're someone who really has any appreciation or self-respect, I'll put it that way, you're probably not going to take part in these things. You are probably not going to make an account, make a profile. And I have people even to this day who will kind of tell me about trying out dating apps, and I just tell them directly how I feel about them. I refuse. I don't want to take part in them. Like I said, I dabbled with them when I was younger. And when it comes to even this idea that men should be on dating apps because of the times, just because it's what's popular doesn't mean you should participate in it. Doesn't mean that it's not destructive and detrimental and a waste of time. Now, not only do I think men shouldn't be on them, but you look at what it's done to a lot of women, quite frankly, to modern women. And I want to say something too. This term modern woman, right? When I say modern woman, a modern woman is the kind of one that is the woman that would be on a dating app, wasting men's time, the ghosting, the flaking, these kind of games and antics where you match with a person. And if they show mutual interest, you're going to push back. And not to even mention if they show more interest, then you're going to be out the door. But this kind of game of cat and mouse, these are the kind of antics that so many men are fed up, they're done with. But when I say modern woman versus, if you want to call it traditional woman, or just a woman who is more respectable, I'll put it that way. A perfect forefront example of that, and I talked about this a number of months ago, I think in a video, where there was a video I saw that took place in a mall. And it was a gentleman who was there who had those glasses with a camera on him. And he went up to a woman and, he was very polite about it, but approached her. And without her even being able to say anything, her friend jumps in and starts ridiculing the guy, starts insulting the guy. Now, while that's all going on in this mall, in the mall food court, a woman from behind the counter goes and breaks the whole thing up and is on the guy's side and says, well, no wonder men aren't approaching women nowadays. And I would say that right there is a, forefront example of the difference between a modern woman and a woman who is more, I guess, respectable, right? But quite frankly, and especially Gen Z and Millennial, an overwhelming majority of them are taking part in this kind of stuff. I'm going to say it like it is. Not having dating apps or social media, I would say, is a green flag. But most of them are on these things, even ones that meet guys outside of dating apps. They still have them on their phone, I've seen in some cases. And the success rate, if I had to imagine, is pretty close to zero if it's going to lead to marriage or anything serious. I know one person in particular who met a woman on a dating app, and I've actually never met her personally. We reconnected recently. He was a best friend of mine, growing up. But they ended up getting married, and got married not in a conventional way, no contract, no big ceremony, which with the affordability in this city, I think it makes sense, because I've heard some of these venues and throwing a big marriage and having all these family and friends there, and people you probably don't even know, quite frankly, really are upwards of tens of thousands of dollars I've heard of. So it makes a lot of sense. Didn't buy her a fancy ring. Didn't spend thousands of dollars on a ring for her. Now, I would say that sounds like, to me, someone who I would hope it leads to a good marriage with him. I hope so. Like I said, he's a close friend of mine. But you look at that, and then you compare it to women who want to hold a phone in one hand and an overpriced cup of coffee in the other, all while not being able to uphold any form of loyalty, any form of decency or support, or, quite frankly, any compatibility with a relationship. Because I think most men nowadays, even the ones that have opted out of dating, even the ones that don't see prospect for relationships, people I talk to on a, quite frankly, regular basis, they're all for family. They're all for fatherhood. They're all for that kind of stuff. But they're not for divorce. They're not for custody battles. They're not for having their time wasted and losing focus on their mission and purpose. So if a woman is not going to provide with those kind of things, then why would you waste your time? That is why so many men are opting out. It's not because they need to level up and are falling behind. That's not the case at all. Are there some men who perhaps are in positions, like I myself, I would say the other thing too, when I was using these dating apps, I was at a bit of a rock bottom. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life or myself. I was out of high school, and I wasn't going to college. I wasn't working towards a career. And there are many men who, they work out of those situations. But there are also men who, let's say they get with a woman who is with them for what they can provide them, financially speaking, the superficial stuff perhaps. I've known men who go that route. They go straight to college and they get good jobs, and a lot of them in particular during the big tech boom, they got jobs and they got rather degrees with software engineering stuff, with computer science. Many of whom I know have been out of work for a number of months, even a number of years, because of the layoffs, because of the boom of AI. So you're telling me if a woman's with a guy like that, and let's say there is some kind of financial hardship, then what, are they going to leave him? Because that's not genuine connection. That is not genuine connection. Like I mentioned, with when couples used to have interests in athletics and other stuff, having a connection with a person, that's not genuine. That is why good men, that is why men who are just authentic, decent men want nothing to do with this anymore. And, in other kind of case, I want to say something like this too. When it comes to loyalty isn't what you say when things are going good. It's not what you say when things are going easy. That's not loyalty. That's temporary. That is purely temporary. And, I think a lot of men fall into this trap where maybe they get on these dating apps because they think that they're, again, more social media pressure, societal stuff, thinking that their self-worth is based on how many women they have been with, which is absolutely not the case. I saw a really good, it was a side-by-side image of actually the crocodile hunter, and I was a big fan of his when I was younger. I loved watching that channel. He was on Animal Planet. It was very sad to hear about his passing. But it was a picture of him with his family, with his wife, with his kids. And on the other hand was a picture of a guy who was at a nightclub, which that's the other thing I'll say too. I see women who will make dating app profiles. I've heard of that rather. And they'll post things in raves and nightclubs. Like that isn't an automatic red flag and disqualifying you from any self-respecting man wanting to take you seriously. But nonetheless, seeing an image of a guy who was in a nightclub with drinks and women around him, one of those two is respect, what a man should be focusing on. I'll tell you what, it's not the latter. It's not the latter. So, and I think it's something men grow out of. I do. I think it's, like I said, that's the mindset I was in when I was, 20, 21, when I didn't know any better. when I really, and I'll be upfront in saying this, didn't have the discernment. That is why it is so important to have the discernment. If you're someone who decides you want to date, it's up to you. But I would say this: don't use dating apps. Don't waste your time on dating apps, because you are not going to find, really, quite frankly, a connection in the first place. You're not going to. I would say that at the bare minimum. Now, I wouldn't at all lose focus on my mission and purpose in life. I wouldn't. We've all known the guy like this, right? Who gets with a woman or starts talking to a girl and stops hanging out with their friends who they've known for some decades, even in some cases. Stop spending time with family. Even I've seen in some cases stop showing up or showing up late to work. You do not want to be that guy. Not at all. And if a woman is going to demand that much from you, then you just have to walk away. You have to walk away. There's really no way around it. But, when I see these kind of dating apps and the stuff going on in there, it's only going to make men double down and want, quite frankly, nothing to do with them. And let's remember this too. Dating apps, they're not at all social. Like, people might think it's easier. That's, I know, kind of what it was marketed as to me, right? That it was easier. It was the easier option. You don't need to go and talk to a girl in person or anything like that. But ultimately, it is the complete opposite of social. It's antisocial. It's antisocial. And they say this too, which again, I think this is part of why so many men are done with, aren't approaching women, and more than just dating apps. I used to hear this saying, I'm sure you all heard this at some point, saying that the worst thing that she could say is no, right? I haven't heard that one in a while. I don't know about you guys, but the kind of just ridicule and humiliation that I've heard of women doing through dating apps, through social media, some other app or website I heard of where they will, try to expose so-called guys, whether it's ex-boyfriends, whether it's guys that try to talk them on dating apps. That is one of many reasons why a lot of men are they just don't care anymore. They don't. It's not even that they're angry. They're just kind of indifferent. They're like, okay, if I'm going to deal with ridicule and disrespect and such, I'm just going to focus on the things that I need to focus on. Why would I put myself in that kind of position, right? There's no reason to do that. So, it's just one of the many reasons why men feel the way they do. But as always, guys, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch the video. And I will say this, it's really telling that is so-called the times that we're at. And, I remember when I was a kid, you did have, I don't know if it was like, you had a couple of them they were on the computer. This is before smartphones. That people would use to match. It was mostly adults on there, like people who were upwards in their late 30s and 40s. But the fact that it's become so prominent now and played such a role in our daily lives, I think is really telling. Now, take what you will with that, but again, guys, I appreciate you for viewing the video. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you. So a lot of men are seeing something right now that. So a friend of mine was in Walmart recently, and we have a few in the area. This one in particular is about 15 or so minutes southbound of the city. It's one of the super centers, and he called me while he was in the store. And I would assume it was urgent if he called me while he was doing his shopping. But told me about an interaction that he saw between a woman who was there doing her grocery shopping and a gentleman who was also there doing the same thing. And said that she was down the aisle on her tiptoes trying to grab some paper towels that were in a packet of, I think he said about 6 to 8 of them. And said that she was struggling, that she was pulling on the plastic, and that the paper towels almost fell on her. And said that there was a gentleman who went to help her, who grabbed them as they almost fell, and gently put them in her cart. Now, he told me that she said something along the lines of, seriously, or got some kind of attitude, saying that she didn't ask for his help. And as he was about to respond, I would assume just to say, hey, I just saw you were struggling. I was trying to help you. I didn't want him to fall on you. She said that she was not going to give him her number, and then just very rudely walked away. So trying to act like this guy was in the wrong for trying to help her. Now, hearing stuff like this really annoys me, and I've heard of things like this happening before. But examples like this are exactly why so many men are done. And by the way, when I say men are done, I'm not just talking about dating and relationships. I'm talking about wanting nothing to do with women nowadays. And when it comes to, I'll put it this way, when it comes to helping people in need, or maybe who are struggling, right? Because she might have figured out some way to get those paper towels down. You know, she might have got who knows if they would have landed on her in the cart in the first place. But nonetheless, there's been many times in public where I will see women kind of in a similar situation, whether it's a lot of groceries they're trying to load into their car or some kind of heavy box. And there's part of me in the back of my mind that maybe thinks I should help them. But then I think of examples like this. Now, if it's someone who's elderly and whatnot, yeah, I will help them. But when I hear about stuff like this from modern women, I want to stay as far away from them as possible, quite frankly. And when it comes to helping me, of course, us as men, we know that we've all had family members get older, and it's inevitable, obviously, perhaps our parents, where this same man who was able to lift you when you were younger is perhaps struggling to move furniture around the house or lift a box inside, and you are going to help them, of course. So it's not about decency versus being indecent. That's not what it's about here. It is about self-respect. It is about not putting yourself in a position to be disrespected. Now, when it comes to disrespect, I'm sure every single one of us has had to distance ourselves from a friend at some point in our lives, which I think is completely normal as we get older, especially as we get into our early to mid 20s or 30s, where we see a lot of these people that we used to hang out with when we were younger, just we kind of outgrow the friendship. But something that I find very interesting, when you think of the traits of those people that you probably distance yourselves from, things like jealousy, too much partying, too much complaining, time wasting, all the epitome of what modern women do nowadays. The epitome of that. And you wonder why men want nothing to do with them. So there's no reason why a man would put themselves in a position to be disrespected. And I guess kind of for comparison here, right, when it comes to the Walmart. So my friend walked into the Walmart with a wallet full of money. And he spent his cash and left with at least some groceries and stuff for the house. But when you get into a relationship with a woman like that, like in the Walmart and just any of these modern women out there on the dating apps and whatnot, you might get into the relationship with a pocket full of money or a good, optimistic outlook on some things, but you will leave with nothing. You're not going to leave with the groceries like you would at the grocery store. You're not going to leave with any fruits of your effort. You will leave with nothing. And she might leave with everything, quite frankly. What do I mean by that? So I'm sure we've all heard of divorce stuff with relation to this idea that women take half your stuff if they get a divorce, and even things that you work for. When in reality, it's more like 70%, 80%, 90%. Like, I know someone in particular who, he was someone who worked hard. He was working a hard physical job, and he told me I could share this, but he got in a divorce and a custody battle. And he is having to pay, he's had to pay child support for a number of years now. And the woman who got full custody of the kids, which, by the way, she shouldn't have gotten, and divorced him, married someone who was very well off financially, to the point where she wouldn't have to worry about child support, which she really didn't have to in the first place. But my friend still has to pay out of pocket. So theoretically, a woman could divorce a guy, get full custody of the kids, and have him pay child support every month. And she could marry a multimillionaire while he is struggling paycheck to paycheck, which I'm not saying my friend is doing. But he would still have to pay the same amount. That's absolutely ridiculous. There's just nothing logical or reasonable about that. Now, I want to say something about when it comes to just this whole term of being single, because it's pretty clear as to why so many men want to be single. But there's been this big conflation of being single with being lonely. So I hear women saying what men call peacefulness ultimately. They want to try to say it's loneliness. When those same people saying that kind of stuff will do everything in the world for other people's attention and validation. They'll try to convince you that they're not lonely and that they're happy and they're at peace while they are scrolling and swiping 10,000 times a day on dating apps and social media, putting so much time and effort into that while they really are just trying to use it as an attempt to mask a lack of self-esteem and real loneliness, by the way. The people I've known that are the most lonely are the ones that are involved in that stuff the most. The partying stuff, the social media stuff, posting 10, 20 things a day. Someone who is at peace does not do stuff like that. So when I see modern women say that and behave in a way that's contradictory, it's clear as day what's really going on here. Men are seeking their peace. Women are glued to their phones, like men are now glued to their solitude. That's what it comes down to. And someone who is so just fixated on admiration from everyone else is not confident. They're not loyal to one person. They are loyal to themselves. They're not someone who's capable of being in a relationship. You know, and I see this too where I've seen claims that men are not approaching women because they're afraid to talk to girls, and trying to say that men are the ones with the unrealistic expectations, that they all want 10 out of 10 models, which even if that was the case would still be more realistic than the expectations I see from modern women, and they're really not even standards anymore. If you look, and I'll put it this way, I'm not going to be saying that looks don't matter at all, but we're all going to get older someday. The looks aren't going to be there forever. So you need to have some form of really an ability to be around someone. So not someone that can disturb your peace of mind. But even when I see men talk about looks, it's typically within their own league. They're not someone who, and I'll put it this way, they're not someone who is, not a gym goer, the complete opposite. Trying to say they want someone that revolves their life around the gym. When I see modern women talking about standards and expectations and this idea of not settling, it is not at all glued in reality. It just isn't. Men talk a lot about behavior. We talk about all different kinds of things. But nonetheless, if there is no prospect for a relationship, for family, for dating in the first place, then what is the point? That's what it comes down to. And the reason why men are not approaching women, and I'll touch on this too, because I've heard that claim of men being afraid to talk to women. Now, I'm sure there's points where we've all been nervous if we see a woman that we're attracted to, but nonetheless, we've all had to have a hard conversation with a friend or a family member. Talking to a woman, or rather fear of talking to a woman, is not why men are not approaching women. That is not. They're trying to find every single way to deflect really any form of accountability for their own behavior that has alienated men from wanting anything to do with women. That's what it comes down to. And, what does that tell you? If a woman is saying stuff like that, right? She thinks that she's above all these guys, that they're not good enough, thinking that she is the prize. And I've seen this a lot too. I'm sure anyone watching this has probably had some experience where you are just out and about doing your kind of daily tasks. And much like this guy in the Walmart, you didn't mean anything flirty by it. You weren't trying to make a move on her or anything like that. But it's almost like the woman just assumes that she is so special and above everyone else around her that, oh, well, how could someone not want to make a move on me, right? Like, I've seen this even at grocery stores before. Probably the most common place that I've seen it. If I'm doing some shopping in a grocery store or a department store and you're in the line, and which, by the way, I remember a time where they would put dividers on the grocery aisle so you could put your stuff down after, and the person working there would look you in the eye. There was some form of customer service, and the interactions didn't feel like just some kind of slower form of self-checkout. But nonetheless, this very dismissive kind of just nonchalant rudeness towards the people who are there just doing their grocery shopping. And I've seen a lot too where even people in front of me in line will be dealing with this. I've dealt with it myself. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is just beyond silly. I don't really pay any mind to it. It's not worth paying any mind to. I just go about my business, quite frankly. But even the people I've talked to, who let's say they've overlooked stuff like this, right? And there are people who know. I mean, I have conversations with them every now and then about this kind of stuff. But friends of mine who have gone on dates or talked to women recently really has been nothing but almost just reasons to really give a forefront example as to why so many men are done. Like I knew someone recently who talked to a girl, by the way, not a girl he met on a dating app, and they were talking for a while, and she just started really leading him on, giving kind of mixed signals, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So wasting his time. And this is someone who has a kid, who has responsibilities, who has work. You don't want your time to be wasted. But was just using him as an emotional sponge, a shoulder to cry on, really. Was trauma dumping. And he would give her, which was so funny about it, he would give her sound, logical advice on this, quite frankly, made-up problem that she had. And she would become resentful. She didn't want to hear it because she didn't want that. She wanted his energy. She wanted his attention. She wanted his time. Now, what does that sound like to you? That sounds like someone who is very inconsiderate and, quite frankly, narcissistic. Now, I'm sure we've all heard that word thrown around a lot. And I think sometimes it gets thrown around maybe more than it should. I'm not saying they don't exist, obviously, but this rampant increase from modern women in narcissistic traits is definitely apparent. The narcissism, the entitlement is on full display.
Whatever.
If you think that you are the center of the world, basically, that the world
Black
revolves
balls.
around you,
Great username.
that every single
I'm pretty
man
sure you
wants
have
you, and you are taking pictures here and there, and regardless of what people that maybe are just minding their own business. You can't tell me that's not one of those kind of traits. Again, I see that word get thrown around a lot, but I see also things that are from modern women that are forefront examples of it. Women who make a dating app profile who just want attention and validation from men. I've even heard that said out loud. They're not looking to date. They're not looking to build anything serious. And that's outside of the dating app as well. These are the same women who have this mentality of, I'll get to 35, 40 and settle down and have kids then, which is not how it works, obviously. But I've seen that mentality. And it's exactly why so many men are done. It's exactly why men are valuing peace and solitude, why they're investing their time in the gym, why they're investing their time in collaboration among people who are loyal in their lives. They're trying to improve themselves. They're doing it on a daily basis. So, as always, guys, don't get derailed, don't get distracted. And when I hear things like this, like at the Walmart, it just goes to show exactly why so many men are done. And as always, guys, I appreciate you for viewing the video. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.
Over the past 6 months or so, Cuba has undergone an unprecedented energy crisis. Just over the past 4 days, most Cubans have had zero.
Wouldn't you like to have someone fondle your big fat tits for you? It feels so much better to have someone else feel you up than doing it yourself. I could always give you a hand if you want. I don't hear any complaining from you. Maybe a little moaning. Damn, it looks like your tits ain't the only thing growing, hun. Your hair, it looks longer. Softer too. Like, what products are you using? You, need to share. Oh wait, it's the pops. Silly me. Pop, pop, pop.
Once again, folks, I may not be able to address this again. I fear that this video will be taken down, so please download it. Get a copy before it's removed. Spread it.
That's Jason Blahar with a 5-5 title.
Oh, on a side note, so people are like, is that coffee cup that big or are you just that small? The coffee cup is really that big. Look at it compared to my head. Don't judge me. I drink a lot of coffee. I need about 2 of these at least first thing in the morning to get myself going. That's what happens when you get older, guys. But, I love coffee, so it's all good. I've had people at current events. There's all these juicy rumors out there, and I thought I would address them while she's here. You know, people are like, "Oh, we heard you broke up." Brittany, did we break up?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we've been broke up, but we are still very, very close friends. I still coach her. I still train her. Brittany, there are rumors floating around that I have been seen in public with a tall blonde. Is that possible?
It was possible, but may not be possible anymore. We might have to trade her up. You know,
Might have to trade her up. Well, you know, we'll see what happens there. You guys know me. Those who really actually know me know I'm always twisted up over one woman or another. It's just who I am. A lot of people don't realize that. They have this perception of me, not really based on reality, but
I got your back this time.
we do know a certain redhead, maybe. You know.
Oh no! Don't even. No,
Well, she's a hot mess. No. Never mind.
Beautiful.
But you're probably right. Yeah, I might not be able to handle that one. But she is an awesome friend. But yeah, guys, I do go out every night, and it's not to work some other job. No, I am out socializing, doing my thing. Just trying to live my life. So yeah, I actually do leave my home every day. I do go out. I do have a social life when I'm not doing this. But the point is, I don't know. I mean, you might not want to come down here. I mean, I was going to go hog hunting next week, but it might be rhino season. You probably don't want to do that. You know, that's the thing. Standing here talking about acting like I'm making. This isn't acting. I'm making real bullets. I have a whole channel dedicated to it. I'm not just an exercise, science, and powerlifting nerd. I'm a gun nerd. But yeah, I mean, talking about fake bullets or whatever, acting. That look like fake bullets coming out? That look like a fake bullet coming out? There you go. Real bullets. Want to see one? That's real. It's not acting. It's not playing. It's real bullets. That's a real AR-15. I built that one. Her name is Vivian. Why'd I give it a woman's name? Because I love guns. I love guns almost as much as I love pussy. Pussy's the thing I love most in the world, but I love guns almost as much. Doom, doom, doom. You know what it is. Doom, doom, doom. Glock City, bitch. Glock City, bitch. Glock City, bitch. Glock City, bitch. 10, 10, 10, 10. 40s in them 45s, bitch. Oh. I'm kind of insulted, Simeon, that you would lie to my fucking face like that. You came on my wall and you wrote that to me with that sort of lying bullshit. You better not fucking come down here to Texas. You better stay in the UK. Because I take that shit kind of personal. Now, it's very important for you guys who lift, who are getting your clothes fitted for a formal occasion. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Okay, the last thing you want to have happen when you go to a formal occasion and you're wearing a suit and they can't always see your physique is for people to ask, does that guy even squat? So make sure that you fit your trousers in such a way that people can see your quads and your squat booty. Let me show you guys. Okay, you want them just snug enough that they can see the outer sweep of the quad, and you want them to be able to see the booty. Turn that up just a little more. Because, as I said, at the end of the day, you don't want anybody looking at you in your suit and going, does that guy even squat? Again, we don't play in Texas. Nobody does. It's a totally different world out here, but people are polite. We are polite. We don't go calling other people pussies. You don't say something like that unless you want somebody to pop you. And they don't pop with fists here. You wouldn't even say, well, you need to understand. You start threatening real men. You think you're going to walk up and attack real men after you want them? You think they're just going to fist fight you? This is Texas. You've been here. You know what we're like. Fans, people who support him, this is the sort of man that you're supporting. Talking about being positive, and he's a role model. Here's your role model talking. Yeah, role model. Real positive role model. Go. I'm pretty sure I could rip you in half. Better look at what I lift without a belt, without straps, nothing else. I can rep out 500 pounds on a deadlift with no belt, no straps, all day long, just in work boots. You're weak. You need to be careful how you go threatening people. Now here's the other thing that was, remember, my best friend. I coached him and got him physically ready for it. He destroyed their test when I got done training him. My best friend is on a SWAT team. I've got at least 5 HPD bros. My homies are all cops. That's my character witnesses. And you physically threatened me on the internet. Said you're going to make an example of me. Oh, it's going to be seen. It's going to get millions of views, but it's going to be on the news. I'm going to be the one famous. But see, that's where you messed up. You just gave me legitimate cause to defend myself. That's how stupid you are. You know, you're talking about you're a killer. You're an amateur killer. At best, you're sure not a pro because you just warned people that you plan to attack them. Warned them ahead of time. That's stupid. You're definitely not a pro killer. I know that for a fact. 40 people beat on my door looking for various services, including prostitution services. And then they get angry. So then you finally have to answer the door. You got to be ready to kill every one of them, unfortunately. Because these are people who can become aggressive. So that's the sort of nonsense. Anytime after midnight, anyone who came to my door and woke me up beating on my door, who crossed through a fence that was clearly says no soliciting, no trespassing, to come beat on my door, got their ID taken at gunpoint. And had they refused, I don't know what I might have done. But nobody refused, and I gave all those IDs to the police for them to do whatever they wanted. Supposed to be able to get into that gym. Which is why the Cassidy Campbell thing was such a big deal. Like, I had to deal with police on that. I had to tell them, look, I'm going to be training here after hours, you know, some stuff could go down. I had to explain that to the FBI even. I had to explain it to one of the local police departments every time we go to the gym in the parking lot. Was I going to have to deal with someone in the weight room? Was I going to have to draw down and shoot someone in the weight room? If you guys, and I'll just tell you guys now, I was armed to the teeth every time I went to the gym. There's a reason I had gym bags. I was ready every single time. I always had at least 50 rounds on me and a rifle in my car as backup. That's the way that I had to think. That is the way that I had to think. I had to be paranoid. And again, it didn't help when that creepy stalker cuck Cassidy showed up and broke into my gym looking for me. People need to understand that. He actually trespassed. The owner was pissed. Cassidy actually trespassed in that gym. And whoever let him in violated a gym rule, and he trespassed about this. Now, on a side note, I've noticed in the comments a lot more lately. People are saying, why, Mr. Jason, I do declare, I believe that you have developed a southern accent again, and it is just cute as the dickens. Well, guys, you guys need to remember, I'm originally from Texas. I've lived in a couple different places, obviously, been around the world, been to other countries. When I started my original YouTube channel, I had been living in the United Kingdom for about a year. I have been back in Texas over 3 years now, so my Texas accent kind of comes in and out. It comes in and out. It's not fake. I actually live in Texas. I was actually born in Texas. So I do have a Texas accent that kind of comes in and out. Sometimes it just comes out a lot thicker than others. I have to actually actively work on not doing it when I want my Texas accent to be completely gone, like right there. But it takes conscious effort to do that. So, on to the video. See, I live in Texas now. You pull that crap here that you pulled over there for me telling the truth, I will own every last bit of everything you have left, and anything you were going to leave to your children will be mine. It'll be mine, Wayne. Pull that crap again. Pull it again. Do it. I would really like that money. Come on. I could put it to real good use harassing you, like you did to me. Because there's tons of videos about me. You think I sit around watching them? Fuck no. They come through my feed, and I even see stuff come through my feed like proof that Jason Blaha watches my videos. And I'm like, what? It's like, motherfucker, I don't have time to watch all the videos you people make about me. I really don't, man. I'm too busy making my own videos, shooting guns, eating, having sex, spending time with friends and loved ones. I don't have time to watch their bullshit. And fuck Colin and his sorry ass with a big black 18-inch rubber dick. Break it off and beat him with what's left of it. That's how I feel about him. Don't run off, because after he popped me, I was going to climb up him, bite his pretty boy nose off, and spit it back in his face and end his modeling career. But the fact of the matter is, I was just raised a little different than some people on how you deal with physical conflict. You guys have heard stories on some of my other channels about that. Specifically, you know, I love my dad, but he's a dick. He's how he raised me. Millionaire. Now, granted, he doesn't give anybody any of his money. He doesn't even have me in his will. But he is also a ex-Green Beret and Vietnam veteran. Now, growing up, the extent of my life lesson from my father consisted of, from childhood, teaching me everything that he learned in the Green Berets and in Vietnam. Those were pretty much my childhood lessons from my father. He never taught me anything about how to be a man, never taught me any life lessons. He did teach me how to work on race cars. He never told me he loved me, never gave me a hug, never once in my life told me he was proud of me. When I asked my father about some of this later as an adult, his response was, I provided for you growing up. I taught you how to be a survivor, a warrior, and a fucking killer. What more does a man need in life? And I am the only person on YouTube who could wear a Breathe Right nasal strip, sitting in the road drinking coffee, and still look sexy. I make this thing look good. Made it very clear that you want me dead. You invite me to a location of your choosing. Oh, and even offer to have your weapons checked so that I feel safe. Is it gone, Lane? Is it fucking gone? The word stupid written across my fucking forehead. Because clearly someone wrote fucking stupid on my forehead. If you honestly think, I believe that you wouldn't pay to have me killed if I were to show up at a predisclosed location. I've already said before publicly in a video that I want everyone to know that if I get killed, you're the lead suspect. My family's going to make sure of that too, that you are the lead suspect who hired a hitman to kill me. I've already stated that publicly before. Now, that being said, furthermore, and that's, I'm confused now. Get the hell off me. I know, guys. Rest in peace, little buddy. And if you guys have been following Instagram, my Instagram, Brittany's actually been taking him out on the town. She's got photos of him hanging out. Actually, we got photos of him hanging out with hot girls and stuff. And we'll put some of that up later. You know, he's been living it up with us for a little while. And, you know, the only problem is that, like, he's sometimes trying to attach to my head like he does to Junkie. Oh, shit. Thicken you up. I'm just doing it with some specificity. Get bigger and thicker, get thick as peanut butter, because it's the good kind of fat, baby. And the last set was hard. The last couple reps, it's my max. And someone asked about that, and I've shown you guys photos from the side. But my back is looking thicker. I think you can say that. I didn't even realize that. I just now look at this footage. I haven't even seen this footage yet. I just now started looking at it. Like, man, my back is thicker. But because I need my entire back bigger and thicker. And people say it's big and thick already, but it needs to be more bigger and more thicker. Goals, people. If you want to get strong or not, you've got to pursue. Again, let's just maximize body composition. Get my triceps thicker. Let me get my triceps thicker all the way across. They need to come up. Because again, how am I going to bring up the bench? Pecs and triceps. And even the triceps are going to matter because they'll become a limit again eventually. I already know my quads and glutes and back and everything are big. This stuff's all big. It's going to need to get bigger for me to get stronger. Got to get thicker. But I'm going to have to put a lot of focus in these muscles that we know are going to bring up my bench. So I decided I'm going to be for brevity so that I can get them done quicker. Down. But, you know, again, I've had to rehab first. Got to rebuild the legs. And they're coming along, right? They're definitely thicker. Definitely regaining the strength. So that's good. I'm going to need that work capacity. I'm going to need, and my bench to all go up. I think having a thicker back is going to be useful all the way around. So more trap, more lat, rear delts. Yeah, this builds rear delts and it builds biceps and grip. This stuff I need. And I'm almost touching my chest even with this bar. That bar is within an inch of my chest. So really, if I just get my back thicker, I'll probably be touching the chest again, pretty much with the floor press, which you know will matter because then we'll see a very, very good carryover. Because once I have a leg drive and stuff enough, even after the first set, and I feel like my triceps are a weak link on a lot of my pressing. And let's go back and talk about the whole concept with the orc mode training and everything. Trying to get bigger and thicker overall, right? We are trying to get thick. We are trying to get strong and powerful. My big lifts are how I get there. And if I have any muscle that is lacking, let's say my triceps are not strong enough or they aren't developed enough to maximize the weight and the workload that I'm pushing on all my big presses, right? The overhead press is what's going to build my shoulders to a large extent, my upper chest, and a lot of overall thickness to the upper body. Well, if my triceps are not strong enough to maximize the weight there, then that's not good for my overall development. We don't need 3 minutes of me cheat curling in here. You guys get the idea. Besides, you know, you're going to look like an orc, you've got to have decent sized arms. You can get bigger, fuller arms with compound movements. This is a compound movement when you're doing a curl. It's a compound movement because notice there's movement inside the shoulder joint also, and that's fine. This is how you get bigger and thicker. Good stuff there. And yeah, I have to go light after deadlifting because I'm weak after that. All right, guys, but that's really all I have. A thicker upper back has never hurt anyone's bench press. Early when I start doing tens on my squats and deadlifts coming up, it's gonna be my real work. All this other stuff is really gonna be pump work to just get me thick, keep getting me thicker in the right places. And as you guys know, body composition is gonna become the name of the game for me. And I've already made that clear. That's why I'm still dieting down. I already had a clown go, we're getting a physique update. First of all, this is not that type of channel. This is not that type of channel, guys. 2, you just saw me do those dead hangs this weekend. That shows you guys where I'm at. Again, pointing out, anybody who thinks that I'm still fat at this point, you are delusional. You've now seen me shirtless again. You guys can see my legs. Mechanics, it makes sense. Floor press is a massive chest builder if you're thick enough to get a longer range of motion. Some real skinny guys with no back have a much shorter range of motion, or in terms of how close they can get to their chest. When you have a thick back, your elbows go further down. Notice that my elbows, look how low they go relative to my torso. Okay, because I have really thick traps, really thick lats. I've got enough meat on my back that it adds to the range of motion at the bottom. I'll do in muscle memory going on in the legs, and you guys will notice my legs are growing again. They are filling back out in spite of 20 grams of carbs a day. In spite of me doing cardio, my legs are getting thicker, and I think it's noticeable today on the squat footage. It's noticeable today. They're refilling out. It's that muscle memory kicking back in, which is great because if I can re-thicken my legs up while doing cardio, and then especially when I start adding in more GPP work, which actually my kettlebells should be here tomorrow. I got a full set of kettlebells. I'm going to mess with some kettlebell swings. I really want to use some kettlebell swings for some of my conditioning. Had some inflammation in. I don't feel any of it on this. So it's really nice. So I'm still getting bicep work. Now, do we need more volume? Yeah, we need more volume, but 20 sets of rows every week. Then we do the hammer curls. But if I do 10 sets of these every week, even though we wouldn't think of it as the highest quality direct bicep work, that's arguable. We can make up for that with volume. But getting that full range of motion helps. But then all the brachialis and radial brachialis and the forearm training and everything involved with it, right? This is just going to help thicken up my arms overall, which is what we need. We need the thicker arms to improve the bench press. That's one of the main reasons I'm doing this. Plus, it'll thicken up everything I need for rows. Well, if I get stronger at those rows that I'm doing 20 sets of every week, isn't that going to thicken my whole upper body up? Isn't that going to give me better support for deadlifting and benching? Yeah. So it's what it all comes down to, guys. We are trying to get as strong as possible. Doing overhead work with thicker bars. Okay, my deadlift needs the grip training. I want my forearms to get thick and strong. I'm going to do a lot of fat bar work in general because my grip is going to be a big factor in my deadlift. I am absolutely going to set deadlift world records this year for my class. That is going to happen. I want to break my own records. In other words, I don't want to just beat records by 20 pounds. Okay, forearms and grip to do that. But the press, because I need the extra shoulder development, it carries over to benching. People have asked on some of this too, like someone had said, hey, how are you looking thicker and fuller than when you were on TRT? And it's like training, muscle memory, all of that. People need to understand there's a difference between TRT and quote unquote TRT. That grip comes up, and that's going to help with my benching. Strong grip in forearms are a limiting factor on bench, and I do notice sometimes when I'm benching, there are times when I know I would feel more stable and more secure with thicker forearms for my benching. I know that. And I think for me to get to a 405, I'm going to have to do it. I know I'm going to have to do that. So let's just keep after it. And then for my curls, what did we do? Like, do I want to do about maximizing hamstring on this? I need my low back. Low back and glutes is really what I want out of this. Okay? This is letting me hit the low back harder. I need to bulletproof those erectors. I need them stronger. I need them thicker. I need to make sure that they're going to strength on a good morning with a lighter weight. So if I know that that's hitting that area particularly well, come in and do a bunch of volume with it. Hypertrophy that area, because if those muscles get thicker, they will give better support and better strength when I go heavy. True. If most powerlifters just had bigger biceps at a lower body fat, everyone would think they look like orcs anyways. It's certainly a thicker look than a lot of bodybuilders, right? And just some of them don't get lean enough. But that's not even true. I mean, realistically, is that really true? I mean, how many powerlifters do we see at 10% body fat, 9% body fat? Movement choices. And again, if that'll make my triceps bigger, I'll look thicker, I'll look bigger. And it will improve one of my big four. Again, felt my delts, felt my traps. Everything got a good pump from it because, again, get our volume work in, get thicker in the right places, work on body composition. I need to be as big and as lean as possible for my weight class. And in fact, if more of your body weight is lean, water cuts are easier. It's far easier to get rid of 5 sets of 10 with this weight. Means we need a micro load next time, bump it up again. Now use a little microplate, go up another 2.5 pounds. Keep getting stronger at this accessory, do tons of volume, grow my triceps. My triceps need to be bigger, thicker, stronger. So I hope it's really heavy, right? To make this stuff work. We have to get the most out of the exercises. We can't let the exercises get the most out of us. And these are all movements just to get me thicker in the right places. Then we do this. It could be, but the triceps are definitely getting thicker, as we can see at all these angles, which makes sense. My closed grip bench is PRing every week now. My variations of it, we're coming back up. I could be within a month, I could be at a channel PR for any bench since I've been back on YouTube. Actually, possibly the strongest bench since in my 20s. Right? Coming back along. I mean, that 345 was real clean this week. Time over pure volume at this point. I need my biceps and my brachialis to get stronger to improve my rows, because my rows get stronger, everything gets thicker. bench and deadlift go up. So we did 3 sets of these with an element. And that's one of the big perks. Everybody who does true dynamic effort work correctly comes back and notices that they just get thicker. It makes you bigger, irrespective of that extra. Definitely chin-ups and dips. I'm going to do more than just what you see here because this is only 4 sets. And just the extra upper body work in general. And I mean, if you do tons and tons of chin-ups, tons and tons of dips, I don't care where you're at in your training, your upper body is going to get thicker. And for me, I need that exercise. I really need the extra chest and tricep and all that. My bench is my worst lift in terms of my big 3. And I just simply need more size in the right places. I need that extra lower chest. I need more tricep. I need those things. But we address them more specifically in the main training, but I'm letting the dips do most of my exercise. Against the bench, really light, and have really big pecs and really big triceps and have a massive bench. Just muscle in the right places. Now they're at a higher risk of injury and less support musculature. So I have to just get thicker. I've got to bring all of my upper body up, and that even includes biceps. That's what we're going to do. And the bench is going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight. I'm going to have hard. Body composition is going to be the name of the game. That I can at any given body weight. It's going to be my key to being competitive. Right? And keeping my joints healthy. And that's one reason I'm not worried about maximizing leverages on certain lifts, because sometimes that's costing joint inflammation. I would rather just muscle my way through it by just getting thicker. I think probably a good one. We'll see. In spite of the fact I'm in a caloric deficit, at this point with the front squats added back into leg training, I should easily be in a deficit right now. Scale hadn't really moved down, but it's just kind of chilling. I'm training fasted in a deficit, but I'm gaining a little bit of pressing strength, so I'm not going to complain. We'll see how it pans out on the DEXA scan. I feel like I'm thicker and fuller, though. Getting a lot of intermuscular water gains, so that's a good thing. That is the forearm training is pretty much every day other than the day before deadlift day. So we won't do any real forearm work today because I got a deadlift tomorrow. It's the only time I take off from it. So it's basically 3 out of 4 days every week. We do something that helps with forearms grip. And I think that'll sort, as I've said before, that'll sort the benching out quite a bit. And just my general strength. Thicker, stronger forearms are never going to be of detriment to you as an athlete. Okay? In any sort of strength sport. That is never going to hurt you. Everything thicker. Alright? I can clean my technique up a bit by getting my forearms stronger, getting a slightly better bar path by gripping the bar tighter, and all that stuff, right? But that's minor. We still have to hypertrophy all the muscles. Pecs, delt, here. Yoke training right here, these rows. But it does hit the lats and everything. And I need all of that thicker for my benching. Because when I close grip bench, my lats help me slingshot out of the bottom. So yes, I need to keep thickening my back up. I know people who've seen my back now shirtless are like, your back is stupid. But it needs to get bigger. I need it to help push me out of the bottom of the bench, and then I need all this pressing and tricep strength to sort that. And if I need to tricep specialize further, I will change bars on my bench day. I will add chains to my closed grip benching again. That was all thicker. It'll help with my closed grip bench, since we know I'm way stronger at closed grip than wide grip anyways. So, it'll work. Needs to build the muscle tissue to get you there. And that is what we are going to do for a long time now. It's going to be maxes and volume, volume, volume. But effective, well-programmed, thought-out volume. Get that work capacity up. Focus on body composition, getting thicker. So, okay. But my upper back has to just keep getting thicker and stronger. Like, it is a limiting factor for me. I need to be to where I can do something like a 550 box squat with this bar. Probably is the word we use, because we may be at that point to where we're getting into jump volume potentially anyways. But what's the benefit we're getting? We're continuing to get blood flow to those triceps. We're continuing to hit those tendons, which may need some work for me. Because again, I feel like if I just get thicker tricep tendons in general, I can handle heavier and heavier JM presses. Okay, and the JM a bit thicker. I just need bigger shoulders. in the right places to give me more support for my shoulder girdle for my lifts, particularly for benching. This will do the job. That benefit anyways, I'll be able to add that back in on a pause bench. This is about hypertrophy at the right joint angles. That's the purpose of all this. Trying to at certain joint angles make sure everything gets thicker until we're doing the floor. Right, they're getting work, but I am putting some priority to grip and forearm, and it's hitting them hard. Because as I've said, I feel like that's going to be my limit on my deadlift, and I know I need the thicker, stronger forearms for my bench. I know I need it. And I've even had an elite coach chat with me about it who benches over 500. We were chatting on Skype the other day. And he had kind of said that, yeah, forearms, man. Forearms really matter if you want a big bench. And because look how small my wrists are. I have such small wrists. I do need to make sure my forearms are as thick as I can possibly get them. But you don't want to stand around doing wrist curls. Do fat bar work. Same thing on these curls. If I'm going to do a bicep exercise, except for rows, which you did 4. And yes, I'm going to start doing them off blocks or off of safety straps and everything later, because I'm going to start trying to get heavier on these, even for a lot of reps, especially with higher reps. I'm going to want to strap up. I don't want to try to pick this up off the floor strapped up. I'm just going to strap up, pull it up from somewhere high, and start doing it, because we want to get really strong with these. This will improve all my lifts, right? Yes, we need all the shoulder to have a thicker shoulder girdle. Dead stop movements, I need to start thinking in terms of what's going to give me power off the bottom. I need to get my chest thicker, right? Stretch reflex with all the dips. Actually carry over. We did the same thing with the squat and hit a 62-pound PR, and it's still going up. So I need to just apply all those same concepts to the bench, and I need to just get thicker in my upper body. Well, adding a lot of body weight movements to my GPP will help that, because I'm in a good position, and all of them are major forearm exercises, because that's a big part of it too. We need to bring my bench up. I need thicker forearms.
I find it ridiculous that I need to denounce something that I never announced in the first place. I have never once mentioned at all on any social media platform that I'm in a relationship with Jason Blaha.
Good morning and welcome to the new resurrected VKVDM channel. We're back. Right, so lots of drama. This is where you come for your drama and your mints, but this is on SoyTube, yeah? So it's VKVDM light. If you want the hardcore stuff, you got to go over to the BitChute channel, and that's going to be linked down below permanently in the description. All right, so if you want the proper mints, get over to BitChute, because on SoyTube we just got to be so careful, you know, especially with Mr. Reporting, still reporting. Anyway, drama. A few channels have already gone over some of this, but they've jumped the gun. All they've done is released the audio, yeah, and there's a lot more to this story. There's a lot more going on, yeah, there's a whole lot more going on, and we're talking about sort of maybe grooming, yeah, grooming, an old MO, yeah, an old way of maybe allegedly meeting women and young boys, you know, allegedly. We don't know this to be 100% true. This is all alleged. There's a lot of evidence that says it could be true, yeah. So we just got to play very carefully on SoyTube here, yeah? And this is why we're doing it this way anyway. So please, if you're new to VKVDM Light, yeah, subscribe now. Please subscribe now. Let's build this channel up. Let's get the truth out there, yeah? Anyway, so this morning I woke up to a YouTuber called Ruby Cherry, yeah, denouncing Mr. Blah Blah. Denouncing Mr. Blah Blah because somehow Mr. Blah Blah has catfished, lied online. That's catfishing, isn't it? Mr. Blah Blah announced that after about 3 weeks of simping and talking online, that Ruby Cherry is his girlfriend. Yeah, so he changed his little status on his Facebook, because Facebook's very important to people like Mr. Blah Blah. You know, it's childish nonsense. Whenever I go on Facebook, I feel ashamed of myself, really. I feel like I've done myself a wrong. Yeah, I mean, it is really, social media is getting so retarded now, especially with the advent of TikTok. I mean, social media is absolute shit now. It's not like, 10 years ago where it was all fresh and exciting. I mean, it is just shit now. It really is. So, getting more and more retarded. Sort of representative of society as a whole, really. Just getting dumber and dumber. Smartphones, smart TVs, fucking dumb people, right? Anyway, so Mr. Blah Blah, because Facebook's very important to someone like Mr. Blah Blah. Yeah, he went out and he sort of met this girl online, simped online. She's a coach. She is a coach. Yeah, she's qualified. Yeah, she's done lots of sort of Australian qualifications. She is qualified. Unlike Mr. Blah Blah, who has no qualifications apart from a BA in Googling. Or is that a BJ in Googling? She's got a couple of clients. Yeah, she's trying to get it all working. She's trying to get her channel going. Yeah, she's got about 800, less than 900 subscribers. And somehow she's been catfished, coerced. She didn't know much about the history of Mr. Blah Blah, all the lies and deceit and fakery and all the rest of it, stolen valor, fake merc, all the nonsense, fake tactical school, all this nonsense, fantasy nonsense. Maybe she had an ulterior motive, maybe she was a troll all along, we don't know, do we? But maybe she's innocent and she's just thought, wow, he's got 100,000 plus subscribers. I wouldn't mind tapping into some of that, build my channel up. Maybe that was her motive. The fact that over 100,000 of them are fake, just like him. He buys his subs. We know that. Yeah, we've seen on Social Blade the sudden jumps every month or two. 1,000 here, 1,000 there. He buys them, and that's why his engagement is so poor. If you had 100,000 subscribers, you'd have more than 2,000 views on average per video. You really would. You'd have at least 10 per video. But like I said at the very beginning, there's a lot more to this. A few YouTubers have got hold of audio and they just chucked it out there because they want the views, yeah, and it's kind of pathetic, kind of stupid. It doesn't really give much insight into the whole story. So
I find it ridiculous that I need to denounce something that I never announced in the first place. I have never once mentioned at all on any social media platform that I'm in a relationship with Jason Blaha. So I do not know why I'm getting come at with the fact that I need to denounce something I never announced. If I gave any hints to it, it's because I was up in my head, and whatever we did have, I never met the guy. Never met the guy. And we only have been talking for a couple of weeks before I'm apparently his girlfriend. But I am not associating with the guy anymore. I blocked him on Facebook. I will block him on Instagram. if I have to, which I probably will, because I'm just over anything to do with him. I'm over the drama, I'm over this bullshit, and I don't welcome it. Why am I the one being attacked when I've done nothing wrong? I don't get that. I've done nothing wrong. I live in a completely different country. Why am I being brought into drama that I never welcomed into my life?
Well, Ruby, it's because of Mr. Blah Blah. He is the reverse of King Midas. Anything he touches, anything he's involved in, just turns sour. It really does. And you know, he's done so much since his time on YouTube to build up so much hate against him that there's just no escaping. Anyone associating with him, anyone dealing with him, is going to get tarnished. Yeah, they're going to get splattered in the crap. You know, they really are. They're not going to come out well from association. So let's get into some of the backstory of this. Yeah, it seems like a certain Mr. Blah Blah has been grooming, allegedly, yeah, grooming, catfishing, grooming, whatever you want to call it. Yeah? This seems to be his modus operandi, his MO, how he does things in the past, according to exes, ex-wives and all that sort of stuff. He'll lie, tell them what they want to hear. Usually the woman is, or young man apparently, is quite vulnerable. Yeah, easy to manipulate. So let's just play some of this. Right, so this is from Ruby Cherry to Deep Purple. So Deep Purple, he's that's his name online. Deep Purple has done some exceptional work here by getting in contact with Ruby Cherry and just getting the whole backstory. Yeah, this is something that the other channels aren't here, sort of letting you hear. Yeah, who's responsible for this? Who got these ments, if you want to call them that? Yeah, who got all the backstory? And it is a guy called Deep Purple. So big shout out to him. No one seems to be mentioning him. They're just throwing out all the videos or the audio onto their video and trying to milk it, you know, like as some exclusive. But this has been going on a long time. Lane Baxter, that's his name. He got some of this and he's made a fantastic video. Yeah, it's on. I tagged it onto the end of my video in my last BitChute roast. Yeah, so go and have a look at that on the BitChute channel. But subscribe to Lane Baxter as well, because he's doing some very good editing work with all the new ments that are coming out now. Anyway, so let's get into this. This is Deep Purple talking to Ruby Cherry.
Okay, I'm going to voice message you just because it's easier right now. Someone else just warned me on Instagram as well, who seems like a really nice guy, so I'm going to trust that. But it's a very fucking tough situation right now, and I don't know how to weed my way out of it. But I'm not going to let him take away time from my clients. So he's not going to get a lot of attention. And he can make up whatever the fuck he wants to make up about that. But the thing is, he's supposed to fly me over in August. So I don't know how he's going to play that out and get the money for that. So no idea.
And then someone else contacted her as well on Instagram to sort of reinforce what's going on. And by that time she was pretty much convinced. And then she turned to the blah blah truthers, and because you know, we're not doing this maliciously, we're just trying to stop people getting involved in meth dealing, having completely dysfunctional lifestyles off the back of it, and ending up in prison in some cases. Yeah, all right, it wasn't directly related to him, but maybe it was, you know, just all the trauma from being with him. We don't know. And the fact that you catfish someone online and then you want to fly them all the way from Australia to Texas and then start emotionally manipulating them, it's not a good look. Right, so there she's saying that he wants to fly her out in August, yeah? So what his MO seems to be that he finds these vulnerable sort of, who he thinks, because I don't think she's actually that vulnerable. She's quite smooth, sort of switched on and clued up, yeah? But he thinks she's quite vulnerable because she's got a child. She sort of looks after her parents or something like that. This is from what I can gather. So he thought he found someone who was very vulnerable and easy to manipulate again. These abusers want you to be completely dependent on them, yeah? So you've got no access to friends, family or anything. They are your sole focus, yeah? And this is where it all gets very dark and twisted. So he wanted to fly her over. So this is Deep Purple. He's saying, you know, apparently he's being monitored by a paedophile group, yeah, because he's been suspected of grooming a teenage boy. You know, this is just one they know of. So he's asking, you know, what's going on there? Did he ever say anything about that? And she says here, is this why he gets a lot of gay comments? That's gross. No, she hasn't heard. So of course he didn't mention anything about grooming young men online, because his sole focus was her.
But he did tell me that a lot of people look up to him as a father figure. So I don't fucking know. That's disgusting. We were talking about business a lot, and he said he wants to pick up his game, but he says he usually gets them through YouTube and just putting out content on YouTube, and also word of mouth and the fact that his clients love him. But that's honestly all I remember him saying. But literally, he used to say that they look up to him and he gets a lot of old clients coming back and stuff. But I don't think that is something he would want to disclose with me. But something I do remember him saying, this has nothing to do with this, but an ex that he broke up with right before me is friends with a mutual friend, and that mutual friend's boyfriend is very, I don't know whether he said like Hitler or whatever it was, but that's when he mentioned my race, and that it might be an issue with them, and I might have people trolling me for that, and that's kind of what confirmed the messages you told me. And I also remember him saying that he was messy, and that's the only reason why I believed you when you messaged me.
Right, so our Deep Purple investigator is getting a lot of juicy info here. So Mr. Blah Blah didn't talk to her about grooming teenage boys, allegedly, but he is talking about race. Now, I don't know what race she is. Maybe she's part Aborigine or something like that, but to me she just looks like she's Italian or Spanish or something like that, so I didn't even think anything of her race, you know. But again, it shows you how Mr. Blah Blah's mind works. Right, so this is where he thinks she's desperate. This is her realizing that he thinks she's desperate and easy to manipulate. Yeah.
So I still don't know whether you have any role with the police. I don't even know how anything works in America, but in Australia there's such thing as private investigators. But he was trying to help me, seeing he thought I had a desperate situation, because like I told you, I'm very introspective, so I could see where he was going, but I knew what I wanted straight away, and I definitely didn't want a marriage. But he was like, you can easily come here and I can easily bring your parents over, but that's only if we get the marriage visa. And he was really talking up the marriage visa over the normal visa because it would be so much easier, so much quicker, and so much more pain-free for me. So he was trying to talk that up a lot and talking so highly of marriage.
So this again is his MO, his modus operandi. Finds a vulnerable woman, flies them out or flies to them, yeah, and then just wants to marry them instantly. Now bear in mind, he's never met Ruby Cherry. He's never met her. He spoke to her for 3 weeks online, simping, catfishing, yeah, and all of a sudden he wants to fly her to Texas and get married so she can stay there on a visa, a marriage visa. I mean, does that sound like normal behavior? Really? Fly someone from Australia to Texas to marry them. Someone you've never met, you've spoken to online for 3 weeks, here and there online, yeah, it's a few phone calls. Is that normal behavior? It's very odd, but it's what we've come to expect from Mr. Blah Blah. So you can see what he's doing there. He's really he's saying he has sacrificed everything to gain so much, yeah? And that's what she should do. She should sacrifice her family, her friends, her clients, her business, her lifestyle on the Gold Coast, which is quite beautiful. Really, really nice lifestyle out in the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast. I've been there. Beautiful. Yeah, so sacrifice all that. Friends, family, relationships, kids' school, if he's at school, don't know how old he is. All that stuff, sacrifice everything. Move to Texas with him so he can, you heard him say, can just have her and the business. That's what he did in the past. Her and the business, nothing else. This business. Yeah? Very, very, not even smart, but so obviously calculated and manipulative. Really, really, not a good way. Not a good way to behave. I mean, very, very sinister. Yeah, just not good.
I didn't have a choice. In this case, there's a lot going on with you to where you want to get your business going the way that you want, but you're not willing to sacrifice everything. And that's the difference, Ruby. I gave up everything so that I could grow that business to keep her and I afloat and to make sure she was okay and to still fly up there to see her. I sacrificed everything else in my life. I cut everything else out. It was just my business and her. And I had to get good. I didn't have a choice. When you're forced to do something and you don't have other options, you will be amazed. How did I make that work? That's was going to be something I was going to talk to you about during that talk we were supposed to have. Because I had to change fundamentally who I was, or tap into a different side of myself to do that. I was in a situation to where I was trying to build my business, and even at a point where a lot of it was floundering, and I was floundering financially because the lockdowns hit. The lockdowns hit. I lost half my business. She was falling to pieces. I was having to support 2 households and a floundering economy, and still make time and the money to fly up there 8 times a year. So here's how I did it. That's not what I have. I have the business, and it's growing, and it's amazingly successful, and it's still going to continue to be. But all of that came at a price. And ultimately it was all invested in someone who wasn't worthy and couldn't keep up. but I made it work because I had a deep motivation. I'm someone, you always talk about the thing of love versus fear. I'm a heavily love motivated person. And I felt something. And for me, that was enough to move mountains and to put everything into it and to force my time management. I forced it until it became natural because I didn't have any other choice. And so in doing that, I learned to get ahead on my work. Even to this day, I have 65 videos sitting on my computer that are not uploaded. I'm always ahead of schedule. It gave me room to travel. It gave me room to wiggle. I just got so ahead on the content because I just dived into it with everything. I learned to manage my clients. I learned to get my clients organized so efficiently that I could take 5 days off 8 times a year and just have my phone to text with them. I already had their files done. I had to do it. Okay? It was a case of such a deep internal motivation that I found a way. I found a way. And Ruby, I sacrificed everything. My friendships, everything for it. And I gave up everything else that I did. I mean, even though people know me as a gun guy, I haven't shot a gun in over 3 years. I haven't loaded any ammo in that time. Even though I have firearms, I don't mess with them. I used to read tons of novels, over 100 novels. I haven't made time to read a single novel in almost 4 years. I haven't hung out with a single former friend of mine. Not one. In almost 4 years. I don't play video games anymore. Ruby, I literally gave up everything to make my business explode and to take care of someone that I loved. And now she's out of the picture, she's gone, and I have the business. That's what I have left. And I mean, it's successful, but it's not fully rewarding. But I'm still ambitious because that was the thing. I had to become truly, truly ambitious with an insane amount of drive to pull it off. I had to tap deep into that part of myself, and it scared me because I knew I would be a different person on the other end of it. And I am. I'm a different man after all of that. And I mean, I'm still driven. I'm still ambitious. I'm still going to make my business grow. But, it's kind of who I am now. But the journey changes you. Yeah, I have absolutely mastered my time management going into flow because it was a necessity. I didn't have any other choices, Ruby, and that is my secret. That's the entirety of my magic secret. I didn't have a choice. I had to do it.
So he had to do it. That's his magic secret. Yeah, desperate, that's why. Because his alleged disability payments had stopped. So he had to just sink all his time into the YouTube channel, yeah, and make up a new sort of fantasy that he is a coach, yeah, and pretend he's got a couple of clients, yeah. He's making 6 figures or whatever the hell he says, yeah. But you could hear from that clip that he's manipulating her, sort of going over and over. I sacrificed everything. That's what you should do for me. Sacrifice everything for me. Come to me where I can have you and you alone completely isolated, and I can control and dominate you, yeah. That's what he's really getting at here. Even the manipulation of the gun thing, yeah, saying he's a gun guy but he hasn't shot a gun in years, yeah, because she is anti-gun, yeah, she's very anti-gun by all accounts, yeah. So he's saying, I haven't shot a gun for years, I don't talk to anyone, I just focused on my business, I'm motivated by love and all this stuff, telling her everything he thinks a vulnerable sort of damaged person wants to hear. Very, very devious. You know, manipulative. Really, really bad. And like I say, this is his standard modus operandi. Right, in this next clip we hear him using her parents as an emotional blackmail tool. She loves her parents, obviously. He's trying to use that and really emotionally manipulate her into leaving everything and coming to Texas. Yeah? So let's listen to this. I mean, it's really, the level of emotional manipulation here is quite disturbing.
Hello, Ruby. I guess something I also wanted to say with all of that is, you know, you talked about logistics, and I know it is really, really important to you to take care of your parents. But something I would like for you to think about with that is that I actually thought quite a bit about that part too, because that's just how I am. And, you know, taking care of your parents, Ruby, I mean, we're talking about a situation to where your disposable income here, if we were to try to do this and, you know, you were to be with me, I mean, Ruby, I make like 150,000 Australian right now. My business is growing. You could be making that type of money. Mine's going to go up. When you really think about taking care of your parents, you know, and as they get older, what does that mean? And because they mean that much to you, they would be pretty important to me too. I don't really have parents that need help. My dad doesn't talk to me. My dad's a millionaire. My mom is gone. I don't have children, you know. I would definitely make sure, you know, that your parents are provided for and don't go without. And I mean, you'd be able to do the same, really, because your businesses would blow up. You would make so much more money in that environment, you know. And that's logistics too, Ruby. That's logistics to think about. And I just want to make sure that you did factor all of that in as well, because I did. I thought about all those things. I thought about every single one of those things before I even said, hey, let's have this talk. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
So you can tell the tone of voice is sort of higher, trying to talk softer, really manipulating. But, you know, to say that you can come to America, you'll make more money so you can look after your parents better, and he will contribute, you know. So this is, bear in mind, this is a woman that he's never met. He's spoken to online for 3 weeks, never met her in his life. All of a sudden he wants to fly her child and her parents to Texas, get married, and then he's going to support all of them while her business builds up in America, and then she can sort of contribute. Yeah. Now we all know Mr. Blah Blah, don't we? Yeah. No furniture, no car, yeah, no qualifications. Now he expects her and us to believe that he can look after her child, and her parents, and, you know, run the house as well. You know, get a bigger house to house them all in, yeah, one big happy family, and pay for everything from his YouTube channel and his imaginary clients. I mean, we know what would happen, don't we? They would, you know, she'd fly there, he'd completely sort of isolate her and probably try and turn her against her parents and everything, you know. The parents would probably be stuck with the kid. I mean, it would be hell on earth for Ruby, and she'd be trapped there if she was as vulnerable and as sort of desperate as he thinks she is. I mean, it is really, this is dark. I mean, this is really dark. I think you'll agree. And it just shows you the levels of manipulation, the the twisted, dark modus operandi, you know, the twisted way he views people and views situations and tries to create situations where he can manipulate people. And so this is, you know, is this grooming? I think we might agree that it could be. Yeah. Again, we've got to be careful on YouTube, SoyTube. Yeah. But I mean, really, really dark. And I'm just happy that we, you know, the blah blah truthers, I'm happy that we managed to get to her before she completely destroyed her life. You know, unfortunately, we can see what happened to Moon Cookie. She's now in prison. All right, there's no direct links or correlation to Mr. Blah Blah, but you know, once you're involved in all that and the negativity and all the crap that comes with being involved with him, I mean, I'm sure it affects you further on. Even once you try and cut ties with him, you're still tainted, yeah? And who knows, I mean, Meth Cookie was with him for years, you know, a couple of years. So the psychological damage that went on, possibly, would really require lots of counselling and all that. And without that, you could go down a dark path, which is unfortunately what she seems to have done. She's now in prison for sort of running meth. Anyway, so I hope that gave you a bit more insight to this whole debacle. But big shouts out to Deep Purple, who is responsible for getting all these mints. Big shout out to a new channel that's popped up on YouTube, Lane Baxter. Go and subscribe to him. He's only got a few. And there's other ones like Cuckolding and Strength and all that stuff. Yeah. So, you know, the fight goes on, and we are here to protect vulnerable women and young, impressionable, vulnerable boys from predatory behavior. Yeah. So I hope it's been informative. Please like this channel so we can really get this out there and spread the word and all that stuff. Share this video, yeah, because we need to get a few shout outs to Deep Purple and Lane Baxter and all that stuff, Cuckolding and Strength, yeah. So we need to get those channels up and running as well, so that we can really protect vulnerable people online. Yeah, this is what it's all about. Protecting vulnerable people online, young boys, vulnerable women, from being catfished and coerced by predators. Yeah, so let's get this out there. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll speak to you in the next one.
So earlier today I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and he showed me an ad that he got from a restaurant that we used to go to a number of months ago, but hadn't gone since then. And it was for a singles event that they were going to be hosting and having a venue for at this restaurant. Now, what I found so interesting about it was that it was marketed towards men. You could tell kind of by the aesthetic of the post. He sent me a screen cap of it. And the fact that it was in my friend's algorithm. This singles event was marketed towards men. Now, I've seen a lot of videos, I've read articles about this, how these singles events are having next to no male attendance at them. And it really goes to show, because singles events are a waste of time. And this goes a lot more than just singles events, this whole thing with men opting out. But I want to make a point here, because men know what they're about. They're wise to it now. This doesn't matter how tall or in shape the guy is. It doesn't matter how, this is regardless of if the women going there are attractive or not. Men are aware of what they are about. It is just a constant stream of subjecting themselves to ridicule. Mind you, I'm not saying rejection, I'm saying ridicule, because this is a big misconception that I see. And I've heard modern women say stuff like this, where they think that the reason that men are not going to singles events or even not approaching women is fear of rejection. There is a difference between rejection and ridicule, between rejection and humiliation. What I see now is rejection is exposing the guy on social media, gossiping to their friends, laughing in their face, acting like you were so much better than the guy. And I'm not saying things were perfect when I was younger, but I remember if a guy got rejected by a girl, there was at least some form of integrity or respect. I remember a friend of mine who, childhood best friend growing up, but he got rejected by a girl. And I remember I overheard a little bit of the conversation, but there was at least some form of dignity there. She didn't laugh at him. She didn't go and expose him and make a post of him on social media. She didn't do any of that. So what a lot of modern women see as fear of rejection is not wanting to play games with the ridicule, with the humiliation. Why would you want to subject yourself to that? I want to make a point of something here too. When it comes to standards, because this is ultimately the big problem, and why I see, you asked me my opinion. If a woman is even going to a singles event, that tells me everything I need to know. They think that there's no guy that's good enough for them at the mall or when they're going on a walk or just during their daily tasks. So they need to go to singles events to find a guy. Now, there are very few examples that I could think of why a woman would need to be on a dating app or go to singles events to get a date. And even if a woman has no form of community, right? Maybe she's a foreign exchange student or an au pair, she would still have her university or a way to at least meet people. But when it comes to these singles events, they are going to just turn down good men, and men are not going to play this game anymore. They're not. You know, it reminds me of something, I'm sure we could all relate to this, but if you've ever been out driving and you see someone on the road who's just reckless, they're swerving in and out of lanes, they're doing things that don't make any sense, you're going to want to be as far away from them as possible. That's exactly how it feels with dating nowadays. You're not going to want to play this game. You're going to want to be as far from them as possible. And the other thing too, with this restaurant that was holding the venue, these places that I would say conventionally would have things like singles events, or maybe you could say men would go to meet women. Places like clubs or bars, what have you. Of course, not something I participate in or ever really have participated in. But the city I'm in, we're pretty known for our nightlife, I would say. Like many major cities, it's pretty big here. But I'll be out and about, and some nights I'm a bit of a night owl, but I will be out and about, and I will by chance drive by one of these bars or clubs or some place like that used to be full of people a number of years ago, and there will be no men there. There'll be a few women kind of in a group keeping to themselves, but there will be no men whatsoever. And I remember even a number of months ago I had done a food delivery for the delivery was for a very prominent nightclub in there. I believe it was for the owner because they handed the food to the security. But it was for a very prominent nightclub in the area. And I remember I had gotten in the building and I got a brief kind of glimpse inside the club. And by the way, this wasn't during broad daylight. This was a Friday night that this was going on, that I made this delivery. And same thing. There were no men inside. There were just a bunch of women kind of keeping to themselves. Before, they used to have ladies' nights at clubs where women would go in for free. That is not a thing anymore. Instead, they are trying to incentivize men to participate in this kind of stuff. But the men are now wise to it. They're now wise to it. And it ultimately comes down to, a big part of it is the social media stuff, the ridiculous standards where there's no baseline for anything anymore. The social media is a big part of it. But for anyone who is millennial, especially Gen Z, but even some millennials and people older, we had some form of social media even in the very early 2000s, right? But for the most part, it was for family. You would have people that would have family members on there, maybe some very close friends. But not all these acquaintances, not seeking validation, not seeking attention nonstop, like it's become now. There was some form of maturity, I guess, if that's the best way to put it, that is just non-existent. Now what I see is nothing but modern women looking for attention and validation and ultimately just wasting men's time. Now, could you imagine getting with someone like that? Because that's even the thing, too. Let's say someone were to go to one of these singles events and get a phone number. Then there's the games, the phone tag and the games over text that I've seen. Just more validation and attention seeking, by the way. But with a woman like that, here's ultimately my stance on it. If someone is dependent on the attention and validation from everyone else for their own sense of confidence or self-esteem, how are they going to be capable of being loyal to one man? It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and men are wise to it now. I've seen situations where women will be even in relationships with guys, and they'll not want people to know because they will want to be monkey branching, thinking that the grass is always greener, looking for the next best thing because of things they've seen on social media, because they want to impress, by the way, people in their life that don't even play any role and don't even really care, quite frankly. That's something I think a lot of us learned at a young age, probably in our very early 20s, I would hope. But this whole thing with living for everyone else's approval and being so concerned with everyone else thinks, yeah, we usually grow out of it pretty soon. But I see women well into their 30s and 40s who have not grown out of that mindset. They just haven't. And what you have now is women using men as a stepping stone. This constant chasing of status, chasing of validation, chasing of attention, thinking that they can always do more and always can do better. And this is how far gone things have gone. On this ad that my friend had sent me from the restaurant, when we used to go there, there was a waitress who, I would say she was a conventionally attractive woman. And she was in the post. Now, I didn't recognize her at first because she got so much work done to herself. Her lips, her temples, her forehead, her cheeks. She got all this work done, all these things done. And keep in mind, this was a woman who was in her 20s. Absolutely ruined herself. She was unrecognizable. Me and my buddy were shocked that it was her. And what does that tell you right there? This constant chasing of perfection. We've all heard the saying, I'm sure some of us have at least. This idea of how someone does one thing is how they do everything. That shows you how they would feel when it comes to dating and relationships. Always thinking that they can do better, that there is something better. And what's so backwards about this is they end up making themselves look worse, far worse. This was a perfectly fine looking woman who was in her 20s. And when I was younger, many, many years ago, the only times I would see women getting these kind of things done is women in their 50s and 60s or older who would be trying to make themselves look like they're in their 20s. But now I see women in their 20s getting these kind of things done to make themselves look like something they've seen on social media, or I don't even know what it is anymore, but ultimately end up looking unattractive. That's what it is. In their minds, that is how far gone the narcissism has gotten, the entitlement has gotten, the unrealistic expectations. That is what it has led to. So, I think that we've come to a point where men mutually know exactly what's going on. They see things and get what it is. They see things like singles events, they see things like dating apps, and they don't want to participate more. Now, you could argue it goes beyond that, but all this, I believe, is why a lot of even Gen Z now are craving nostalgia. I've seen a lot of people who didn't grow up in the 90s who are wanting to go back to the 90s or very early 2000s, to be fair. But I think a lot of it just comes down to is that we had peace through simplicity. I don't want to go on too much of a tangent here, though I think it applies to dating and kind of the broader picture here. But a time where there was not so much nonsense and everything wasn't just walking on eggshells, trying to play this game. Again, why would someone want to participate in a rigged game, right? But I remember I had a cousin of mine a while back who had a birthday party. He was turning 30. And they had a Pokemon-themed birthday party. And I thought at the time that it was immature. Now, I'm not someone who really does a whole lot for birthday parties, but it was, of course, nice seeing family and stuff like that. But at the time, I thought it was perhaps immature. But looking at it in the moment or shortly after, I looked back and I thought to myself, wait a second. That is a time when they didn't have to worry about all this dating app nonsense, the social media nonsense, the unrealistic expectations. They just had peace through simplicity. I'm not at all judging this person, but when it comes to real immaturity, just look at the behavior of modern women on social media and dating apps. That's what I see as real immaturity, because it is absolutely backwards of anything productive. And what it feels like, singles events, dating apps, dating as a whole, what it feels like is when I would make snacks kind of late in the day, shortly before bed, I'll make myself maybe some yogurt or scrambled egg, just something simple, right? It would feel like having to have a 5-star meal every night with steaks and caviar and all this kind of stuff, when it would really be for no purpose. You would be doing all these things, these performative things, walking over hoops and hurdles for absolutely no purpose. You could just have the thing right in front of you. The yogurt that's quick or the scrambled eggs. There's no need for all the nonsense. And men do not have time to waste on nonsense. They'd rather go to the gym. That is why you see men doing things to build themselves. They're not wasting time with things that are destructive anymore, that are distractions. They're wanting to build themselves. They're seeing through it. They're wanting to spend time with family. They're wanting to appreciate the things that they have and not want to chase some unrealistic vanity, some unrealistic standard. It's like running on a treadmill and think you're going to reach a destination, right? I mean, you could, for example, I could walk from where I'm at now to the other side of the room. Simple. But I could zigzag and turn backwards and do all these hoops and hurdles, and it could take 10 hours. Why would I want to have to put myself through all that unnecessary strain, stress, and stuff like that, right? That's what dating feels like nowadays. That is what a singles event would feel like. You would go there and it would just be rejection and ridicule on repeat, because it is really just tearing down good men to make themselves feel better. And the men that they want, if they even exist, by the way, are not going to be at those kind of places to begin with. I think deep down they know that. I think a lot of it's just ego. Like when I go on when I have in the past, and when I hear people talk about things they've seen on dating apps, and they'll see a woman who's like 35, 40 years old with 2 or 3 different kids, single mother, and they will say things in the description like, don't have time to waste, this and that. I want a guy who has everything made, and car and own place and never had a divorce and all this kind of stuff. I'm thinking like, you are having all these things, but you're not looking at yourself in the mirror. You are thinking that you can demand this and demand that, when it's not about building or supporting at all. It is about being there for the finish line. You shouldn't have someone with you who is just there to take what you've already accomplished. You know, if someone is constantly taking, we've all maybe dealt with this with friendships in the past, but if someone is constantly taking, and they're not providing anything, a rigged game, you're not going to want to participate, are you? Certainly not. So, as always, guys, I appreciate you for taking the time to view the video. And just when I see stuff like this, it's clear as day why singles events are empty and no men are attending. So, again, guys, I appreciate you viewing. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you. So the other day I was at the local FedEx post office in the area, and I had sold a pair of weightlifting shoes on the internet a few days prior, and I was going to ship them out. And I had seen an interaction in front of me that was so ridiculous, but really the epitome as to why men are opting out. Quite frankly, what nothing to do with dating anymore. So the gentleman in front of me was shipping something out, and he seemed to have been just trying to figure out kind of how the whole system works. I mean, it's quite frankly pretty confusing, if I'm being honest, in terms of measurements, in terms of the label and all that. It takes quite a bit of time. Anyone who's been to a post office, I think, understands that. But this woman who was working behind the counter was being very rude to him, was being very dismissive, was not trying to help him. And after he had left, she made some remark to her female coworker after he left the door, and they were laughing about the guy, and it was my turn to line. Now, when she was quote unquote helping me, really wasn't doing much at all. She was pulling out her phone kind of mid conversation between when I was getting the package set up to ship out. And I'm thinking to myself, this woman acting dismissive, acting like that in the first place, as if she is rejecting these guys that go in there like they're there for her. They're not there for her. I'm going to tell you right now, as for the guy leaving and myself included, if I saw this woman in public, I wouldn't even give a double take. I am there to ship out something that I had sold on the internet. And if you're going to be rude and dismissive and pulling out your phone in a way, trying to act like she is rejecting these guys there when they're not there for her, it is absolutely ridiculous. So I had said something to her about the way that she treated that guy leaving, about having respect. And now what was so interesting about that is she didn't say anything in return. The tune actually changed pretty quick. I was actually expecting somewhat of an argument, but I was thinking this to myself. Now, I think stuff like that, there are times where it needs to be called out, obviously. And there are certain ways to do it where you keep your composure. But rather than even having to put yourself in a position where you have to call things like that out, the best way to deal with that would be to not even have to deal with them in the first place, would be maintaining your peace and avoiding the drama altogether. And stuff like this is exactly why men are done with modern women. Now, where I want to go with this is for anyone who's dealt with that kind of stuff, whether it's a feeling of, I don't even want to call it rejection. I talked about this in a previous video. Ridicule, humiliation, being gossiped about, being mocked. Don't let anyone make you feel like you are insignificant. And by the way, by significant, I don't mean some celebrity that has praised by all these people they don't know. That's not what I mean by significant. I mean your contribution to your family.